The few Americans who remember him always think that he was hung for his crimes. Like, not so much.
No, he lived out his days in England, didn't he?
Major Andre, yeah, Major Andre ate it, but he lived.
Yeah,
Benedict Arnold lived to a ripe old age, if my recollection is correct.
Yep, he had the
on his instincts in England. So first things first, did everybody have a chance to 1, level up, and 2, add your new hit points and whatnot to the guys on this on the start page here?
I got start page stuff done, but I haven't done my macros yet. But I'll do that tonight while we're playing.
All right.
Let me consult my D&D attorney here. Don, if I level up, do I have to just do one thing? I don't want to screw up my beautifully crafted character sheet that you created for me.
I gotta be honest, of all the people, just speaking as DM, of all the people that I can't believe that I'm allowing Don, of all people, to help him sort of craft this thing. I'm like, of all the people to pick, that I would allow this to occur. I feel like Don would be the absolute worst.
It was kind of odd. He found this weird feat for me that allows paladins. I know it's weird, it's lawful good, but it allows me to cast bleeding gaze on people now. So I cause bleed if I stare at you long enough.
Oh man, that was going to be Nocticula's gift to you.
Gonna have to return that one and get another one knocked.
Now I got to rewrite everything.
Plus 10 bleed.
Yeah. So speaking of that, new house rule: bleed doesn't exist anymore. So, sorry, it's we checked the rules and found no violations. So
let me ask you real quick, Don. If I just up level my guy by 1 level, will that screw up the whole character sheet?
No, you'll have to adjust the macros and stuff. We'll go over that later. Okay. Go ahead and just level them up on the character sheet.
So we got so just to say, we've got a lot going on.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't plan ahead for like feats and stuff.
Yeah,
that's okay. We got a lot going on today, so we may not get to the point of actually, attacking anything. So, right. But it could be. That said, I was going to ask everybody, what's new about 13 for you? For those of you who haven't sort of leveled up anything, obviously you don't have to answer.
I can look at paladin feats, but you do that. Yeah. I look at paladin feats.
But real quick, I was hoping that everybody was, if any cool things that you took or new powers that are interesting that you wanted to talk about or were part of your level 13 level up, I'd love to hear them. I'm sure we all would.
You don't want to know.
Resurrection.
Oh, no kidding. So you get resurrection. So now you're going to load up on 10,000 gold piece diamonds.
That's right.
Oh, man. That's
I'm just going to go around and start resurrecting like dead animals and roadkill just because I can.
Yeah.
All that Redlands gold. That's what's going to do it.
Nice.
All right. Well, resurrection. That's enormous.
So Gatto at 13th level has taken another level in Caravan Guard.
Okay, perfect.
He earned critical focus. So when he confirms a crit, it's +4. And he got the Caravan talent of improved evasion.
Which means if you avoid an area of effect spell, you actually deliver damage to the person who cast it.
Yes,
and their family.
And their family. Yes, you slap them so hard their parents feel it.
I either take no damage or half damage from reflex saves.
Gotcha. Okay, so even if you blow a save completely, it's still half.
Half. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Cool. I guess it's fun. Gordon, what about Bardos? Anything cool there, or just a shitload more spells that are going to make me crazy?
Not a shitload, but he got 7th level now, so he's. Ooh. I took. What did I take? Limited Wish.
Oh Jesus!
Which basically allows me to cast any spell I want from all kinds of shit if I need to. Which I don't know that I'll ever use that. I never really played a high-level wizard like this, so it's a pain in the ass, honestly, to have all these spells.
I'm gonna have to start making some canon about what we do with wishes in this campaign, because that could be problematic.
Limited Wish is not really.
It's not as big a deal.
There's very specific things that lets you do it. It basically lets you cast any spell as if you had it in your book.
I will. Oh, okay.
Or you can cast, like I can cast cleric spells.
Right. It's any spell level. Of what? 6th level or lower?
6th level or lower, yeah. So it's a 7th level spell. Yeah. 6th level or lower, 5th level or lower, cleric spells. And there's some other stuff you can do, like buff up attacks or something real.
Yeah, it's basically lets you create nearly any type of effect. Produce any, I like the last bullet is produce any other effect whose power level is in line with the above effects, such as a single creature automatically hitting on its next attack or taking a -7 penalty on its next saving throw. Wow. Okay. Wow. There is a lot of interesting ways you could use that.
Yeah, if I can remember to do it. But anyway, the other one I took is called Resonating Word, and it's basically an offensive spell, which Bardos has never really had, but it deals sonic damage. And it's a pretty kick-ass spell. It has a 3-round effect, progressively worse on a single creature.
Wow, staggered. Wow, okay. This is crazy.
Some bad guy we ran across. Didn't that happen with some bad guy, some woman that screamed at us?
I think so. Was it a
Banshee or
banshee or something? Yeah.
And it got worse and worse and worse.
No, I'm pretty sure the banshee almost TPK'd the entire party if it was in that evil city we were in. Except for Xano and one other.
What about you? Dan? What's Fletcher got going on back in the background?
This was 13 was not a big. It's not a big level for barbarians. You got a rage power that I took, and it's a rage power I talked to Mike about at one point and you about at one point. You both told me not to take it, so I went ahead and took it.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
Fletcher don't
That's the
think
spirit.
I'm
No
chaotic that way.
Yeah, don't let us tell you what to do. You do your own thing, big.
Good for you.
He took something called "Come and Get Me," which basically means he does like a Muhammad Ali, where he dares someone to take a swing at him,
like
and if they do, they get +4 to hit and +4 on damage. But first, he gets to hit them.
Oh, it's sort of like as a free action, the barbarian may leave himself open to attack while preparing a devastating counterattack. Enemies gain a +4 bonus on attack and damage against the barbarian until the beginning of next turn, but every attack against the barbarian provokes an attack of opportunity, which is resolved prior to resolving each enemy attack. So it's Muhammad Ali. He's like, that's awesome. And yeah, no, I'm sure I told you never to take this, but I probably had reasons of my own. Very cool. All right, what about Farina?
Farina was nothing huge, just a bunch of cleanup work that I needed to do from the last couple moves. And I think Otto's going to actually start to become a bigger player in the team. So that's
okay.
Yeah, I 5th level spells, more summon nature's summoning, which I'm going to try and do more of. And
okay, I love summonings.
On the feats, yeah.
So if you get a chance, if you feel like you're going to do, and this goes for everybody, if you're going to do a little bit of summoning, and it goes for even beyond this campaign, if you're going to do summoning, and you feel like you're going to do more of it, send me a list of creatures that you're likely to summon often. And what I can do is I can prepare the token. I can have them all with the hit points and everything and that kind of stuff. And that way you guys have seen it before. Somebody does a summon and I have to go hunting for the right thing. And, then I'm asking how many hit points and all that kind of stuff. But if you send me a list, I will prepare them ahead of time and they will be ready to go.
I was actually kind of working on that for myself too. And then per Mike's encouragement, I did start making some macros, put my big girl pants on and started doing it. So
very cool. Dipping a toe in macros. Well done.
We'll see how they work. We'll see how accurate they are.
I wish I was using them like 8 years ago. They were pretty awesome.
And Illindar. What about Illindar?
Mike? Just to give you a heads up, I'm going to summon Storm a lot, actually.
I think we agreed that we weren't going to do that anymore.
Oh, right.
Seems right.
This was a huge level for Illindar Storm.
Really? Okay.
Okay. Cool.
And I use that word with exactness.
Storm is now huge.
Storm is now huge.
The next time you see Storm get summoned, she's huge. I like the numbers though. Her strength jumps up to like a 41.
Sorry, what?
Huge.
So get this.
Like a large dragon, right?
Ooh, shit, I don't have any of that ready.
I'll wait for it.
Les was not ready.
Like a large dragon, right?
Oh, God.
Huge.
3, 2,
Like
1.
a large dragon.
There you go.
There you go. Sorry, it took me a minute.
But her heavy load is like 44,000 pounds now.
Hey,
she can actually push or drag 250,000 pounds.
Mike.
What?
Mike, how much?
220,000 pounds she can push or drag.
Hey, Mike, how much is that in coins?
150,
I don't have a
150 gold.
Depends on the coin.
That's
That rest
150
just, that's
gold.
just rage quits. Fuck you and your
Yeah.
coins.
Hate your coins.
Depends on the coin, damn it.
So yeah, so I had to do a lot of evolution changing. So unfortunately, she lost all of the resistances she had.
Ooh.
So she had resistance like 20 to like fire, acid, and something else.
Okay,
Those-
but that's all
those on the
gone.
way with the stuff from the next level to make her huge. But yeah, she hits really hard now.
As opposed to before when it was just like these little baby taps.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Slapping.
Yeah,
What
it
was
was
the-
only 390 something points.
With the
Okay.
dual wing buffets.
Couldn't even break 400. What a loser.
What a
I
loser.
know, geez. It's like whose game are you playing anyway?
So yeah, that's by far the
Biggest thing. Yeah, that's
the biggest thing.
huge.
That's
See
huge.
what
I see what you did there.
See what I did there?
That's good.
Very cool. Matt, I mean, I know that you haven't necessarily got level up in it, or have you looked at it at all?
So it doesn't look like a big level for Paladins. 14 will be, but I did get
13.
Smite. Yeah, 14 will be a big level. But on level 13, Smite Evil is 5 times a day now. So then I
Okay.
got a couple more spells. So I will work with my consigliere of crafting to make sure I have it correct.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. All right, that sounds like a lot of interesting things going on. A lot of characters evolving in interesting ways. Several Rubicons passed, right? So Resurrection is there. Limited Wish is there now available to you guys. Obviously, Gatto is now, as he's the Caravan Guard's Caravan Guard, really, at this point. So, all of the Caravan Guards are sort of look to him as their leader. Lots going on there. So, very interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens as we go into book 5 of the Wrath of the Righteous. So we're going into a new book. But before we do that,
And just a little FYI, you need to speed this up because
I can't speed it up.
the computer game for Wrath of the Righteous just came out this week. So
Yeah.
Did it really? All right.
it's killing me not
We're gonna
buying
get ahead
it.
of you.
It's killing me
So-
not buying it. So
Well, so I'm not afraid that you guys are going to buy it because one, to get to the place where we are now in this game, you have a lot to do, and I don't think that you guys have that kind of free time. So, but second, I've made changes to these books. You guys, by virtue of the stuff that you've done, have made changes to the story. I think you could get clues, but it's no better than the clues you might get just accidentally surfing the web. So I'd say go ahead if you want to play it. I don't think that it will ruin this game, and I don't think that you will get any information that you wouldn't otherwise get otherwise.
I refuse.
Full disclosure, I have bought it.
And you
I
played it.
am playing it. I am in the first town where Trendelev dies.
Hi, hon.
I didn't play that with you guys, so this is all new to me. Hey, but the amount of time I get to play it, we will be well past this adventure path before I get to book 3. So,
I'm curious, is it-
reminding me that the whole Underdark is not one of the books in the series that we'll decide how we're going to attack the Underdark,
Right.
added to our storyline here.
So that's an off-book adventure to save Ilandar's bacon in this regard. So lots going on, very cool stuff. But before we jump right in and go back to get back into the narrative here, imagine yourself in Alushinyrra. All of you guys have been there, sort of wandering about, taking care of errands in the city as you await Nocticula's emissary, the demonic copier repair guy, waiting for him to come and fetch you and take you back to Nocticula to see what it is that her rewards may or may not be. We look closer and closer and closer, and you see in sort of the distance, the big sign, Worm Empire. You sort of visualize kind of going in the door, and you remember the Worm Empire is a huge place. It's got several lounges. You go into one, called the Absalomian Lodge in the Worm and Pyre Hotel, just down the way from Hadrak Street Station, Saltpeter Ward of Alushinyrra City in the Abyss. You see, sitting at a table by himself, Lothar, son of Sven, son of Oscar, late of Kalsgard, sitting there by himself. On the table sits a small, oddly shaped amulet. It's made of various woods, got silver bindings on it, and if you look hard enough, for long enough, it sort of gives the impression of being some sort of animal with protruding horns, maybe a stag, maybe a deer of some kind, or an elk. Lothar stares at that thing with a critical air, and as his wine glass, now empty, is silently and efficiently replaced with a full one by a comely waitress of indeterminate lineage. Lothar had spent the last 2 hours reflecting on the last 12 hours, which inevitably had led him to reflect on the last month, nearly all of which had been spent in this deadly and alien city. He laughs a moment to himself and then catches up the glass and takes a sip.
This abyssal wine is good on the palate, but difficult on the spirit. How much of this wine and of this place have I drunk?
Lothar imagined an immense Libran balance. On one side, the good he had done here, the rescue of Saivar and the death of the Redlands Consortium, the pursuit and killing of Minago, the dispatching of Hepzimira. These were deeds unreckoned by any mortal elfin priest. These were the deeds of an elfin champion, and his blood heated in his heart at the thought of the things that he had done.
No one would know me to see me now back in Kalsgard. The skinny priest adept who left them nearly 2 years ago no longer exists.
And yet, there was another side to that implacable scale, the cost. He'd watched as his comrades came to whatever accommodation they felt necessary in this city, some more accommodation than others. Lothar's hand reached gently out and took up the strange amulet, which was silent and obtuse in his grasp.
Erastil has kept me safe, body and spirit.
Flashheart, he thought as a thin smile crossed his lips, was perhaps his closest comrade in this, devoted to the inheritor as he was. Surely he was her servant now more than he'd ever been, and the blade he bore was proof of it. But what was it they said?
Proximity to the gods was beyond the capacity of mortal ken. Those closest to them were often close to madness.
Flashheart, Lothar could not deny, walked a very fine edge and dipped over it now and then. The priest knew of the paladin's past, the cruelty he'd suffered and the wounds he still carried, wounds that none of Lothar's skill at healing nor any of his spells could assuage. And yet, there was none stauncher in their unwillingness to embrace Nocticula's poisonous fume. Somehow, Flashheart's was a practical madness, pliable in small things perhaps, but steadfast in the greater.
Perhaps my proximity to the gods will some days drive me mad. Maybe I already am, but trapped here in my own skull have failed to notice.
Gatto, conversely, had declared his allegiances quickly enough. In that horrifying introduction to Nocticula, standing there frozen in her presence, the stench and horror of Minago's lair still upon them, the shit-covered price they'd all had to pay to enter her dark, amoral palace, Gatto went to her.
Gatto. Well, of course it was Gatto.
If there was any among them that had paid the bugbear's share of the ticket, it was Gatto. Lothar remembered the elf covered in some sort of horrendous shit, walking back into the bowels of Minago's grotesque house. Of all of them, Gatto had no reason to love Nocticula, but love her he did. Even now, Lothar could envision her mark upon his cheek, a small crimson arrow, infinitesimal, but Lothar knew the power and control that it carried. It was clear that Nocticula used Gatto. Was there an ultimate goal, an end game, like some Baroque stratagem in a game of abyssal chess? Lothar didn't know, and Erastil's servants were silent on the matter as well. The priest took another sip of wine.
It's enough, I think, that Iomade and Erastil are allies here. But this foul city, it's a lens.
For the priest, Alushinyrra was a lens through which he was able to observe the actions and motives of his compatriots. Mentally, he went through his comrades one by one, analyzing and speculating. Outside, he saw a cabriolet, the cabin dark with curtains, absorb a pair of humans or near humans. one festooned with armor and weapons, the other bearing nothing but a staff with a dark green crystal cynosure. Lothar's mind ran through his odd checklist as he watched the pair, their prime material trepidation and animal apprehension at odds with the casual acceptance of the driver.
Good old demon cabbie. Got himself another fare.
But after a moment, Lothar's grin faded at the implications. His heart softened as his mind went to Farina. Of all of them, she was most uncomfortable here. Lothar knew that, although she had experienced much in the last year, her place and her heart was among the forests in which she'd grown. He smiled warmly, and the charm in his fist, almost forgotten, twitched, almost imperceptibly.
She hates this place as much as I do.
A prime city was bad enough, alien to Farina and uncomfortable. She'd only come to Carnembris that fateful day over a year ago in search of her uncle.
An uncle she has yet to find.
And for a moment, a frisson of shame passed over Lothar. Saevar was safe, yet he'd never spoken to Farina about her uncle. He was probably dead. But there were months when Lothar assumed the same about Saevar. For a moment, he ached to help her, but he knew that helping her meant getting her safely back to Galarian. Fletcher, however, was a different story. He wore the damage that had been done to him as a youth like a scholar's cowl. No, it was more than that, much more. Lothar knew that from the blood virus he'd drawn from Fletch, that the horrors of this place had found within him a fecund pasture in which to graze. Fletcher had been grievously sick, and Lothar had drawn that virulence from him like poison from a wound. But inside him was still the vengeful creature that saw everything as an affront.
But it is, in large part, what makes Fletcher what he is.
Fletcher was unknowable in certain ways, perhaps in many ways. He'd been reliable to a fault, the point of their collective spear, and yet Fletcher, to Lothar's eye, saw killing as a way to right the wrongs of his upbringing, but it was also something upon which this city could feed. His strength used against him. More wine arrived, and the waitress's talons clicked softly against the stem of the glass. With Gatto on some dark errand was Bardos, and although Gatto's aims were suspicious, although unscrutable, Bardos were anything but. For so enigmatic as a creature, Bardos was a study in duality. His alien nature and obscure past made him opaque, a slate that was all too easy for one upon which to transfer their own insecurities and fears.
He's no person. He has no stake in the success of the crusade. Or does he? Always without fail, he's acted in defense of our party. Perhaps he understands something about the nature of our work that the rest of us have yet to see.
And finally, Ilindar. The sight of him, first in Carnembris and then in Drezen, drew more than one malevolent stare. Eben skin, chalky hair, and eyes the color of violence. It was only the threat of storm that, at first, held back the mob. And later, Ilindar's reputation and the word of Irabet Tirablade kept the Crusaders civil, if not friendly. Lothar had a great deal of sympathy for Ilindar.
His face marks him as a creature not to be trusted. His deeds mark him as an enemy of his own kind. His love for a demon lends him the air of a traitor. The deadline laid on his head grows his desperation with every wisp of the hour candor.
And Storm had grown as well, from so small, almost a pet, to something fearsome, and were it not Ilindar's near perfect control of the beast, supremely dangerous. Even the DM knew that this was a problem for everyone. Lothar knew that he could follow Ilindar into the Underdark to pay Iomede's price for the Drow's return. He knew that nothing could be worse than the things that he'd seen in this crusade.
Will we all die in Iomede's service, trying to save a Drow life? No. It wouldn't be in Iomede's service, but a choice made freely by comrades tested in battle.
The hour was growing late, and Lothar calculated that he had perhaps 2 more glasses of wine to enjoy before he had to make his decision. Accompany those men and women with whom he'd lived and fought since that fateful day in Carnembris back to Nocticula's palace, once again to accept her bribes, or walk through the multiverse back to Drezen under Erastil's power and remain clean of spirit if bereft of a demon lord's corrupting gifts. His glass was refilled, and Belisarius, who'd entered the lounge to speak to a subordinate, nodded to the Ulfin priest from across the room. So many dangerous questions, and each festooned with hooks that made a man trying to do good worry for the safety of his own spirit and the future of their collective endeavor. Fade to black. Thank you, Chuck. Well done.
Well
Yes, sir.
done.
Jennifer,
was
you were,
awesome.
you were on mute when you were clapping at first.
Roll
Okay,
the
we got
credits.
the point.
Yeah, but I could see it. It's all good.
It's awesome.
All right, good night, all. That was fun.
That's it. All right. Good night, everybody. We're done here.
Peace.
Rest of your weekend.
Wait.
Drive safe.
I sense that Matt will say something now about a fucking sky whale.
What I should have had was the
This is
master.
My turn.
I need the Masterpiece Theater sort of, the thing set.
There we
Up.
go.
The Masterpiece Theater theme.
Yeah, I was gonna step on your moment there, Chuck. I'll leave.
I
this
think
guy alone.
Storm is becoming our sky whale, isn't he?
Yeah, she can only drag 250,000 pounds. Just make a big sled and have her drive you around like Santa.
No, Storm is our sky dragon.
Shut up.
Oh,
Shit.
shut up.
Oh, once again caught off his guard.
Jill, oh
Let's
my
Got
God.
3 screens here. Come on, man.
How is this
You
not
really-
a hot button on your keyboard yet?
Yeah, unless you need a dead man switch, so you just take your finger off and it goes on.
It goes off.
To the idea of a dead man switch, I say this. All right, so thank you, Chuck, for doing that with me. I just something that came to me over the week, and I thought this would be kind of a cool way to
was
sort of
cool.
start things off.
Awesome.
As we begin the gaming proper, you guys are in the last couple of hours in Alushinyrra. I know that some of you have decided to go shopping. Some of you are hanging out. Lothar is imbibing some wine at the and taking in probably what will be his last view of the Worm Empire. Does anybody have any questions or things that they need to take care of, or stuff that they're buying? What's going on?
I think I said I was going to accompany Gado or whatnot to see the potion maker.
Okay, so you went with
It
him
was
too.
Bardos.
Yeah, Bartos wants to buy some scrolls if they're there.
I want to buy some herbs and whatnot, so I'll probably be going to see the herbalist.
Okay,
I'll
All
be
right.
there part as muscle and part as saying goodbye to my demonic contact and wishing them
Melkor. So of course, Melkor welcomes you guys when you go into the Potioners. That's always like, hey, glad to see you guys. You've been going for a while. Everything okay? I just wondered what had happened, and hadn't seen you for a couple of days.
Everything's fine.
Everything. Oh, that's perfect.
Nothing unusual going on.
So-
I do have something I want to talk to you about in back.
He whips out a certain appendage. He whips out a certain appendage. Does this look infected to you?
Does this look infected to you? Because
Lotion or ointment for this?
all right, yeah, we could if you want to discuss him back. In the meantime, please, the rest of you feel free to look amongst the wares. They'll call in help to sort of help you guys out. Bardos, he will tell you that he doesn't do scrolls here, but he refers you, and I think you and I talked about this earlier. He refers you to a man of his acquaintance who he assures you will sell you any scroll that you need, and at the same discount that Melkor has given you, which I believe is 20%.
Awesome.
Right. Okay.
And he directs you. He's just around the block. He's not very far away.
Okay.
Question: Does our amulet of detecting when something bad's about to happen go off when Gado says he needs to go see Melkor in the back?
No. So those amulets that you and Lothar bear are not like detect evil kind of things. So what they do is they basically alert you if a course of action that you're considering or about to take is going to put your alignment and therefore your powers in check.
Got it.
But they're
if Gado was
purely
wearing one of
personal.
these, it would
Huh?
be if Gado was wearing one of these, it'd be inverted.
We just
First off,
spin.
go out, then you would
Spin.
I say I plan to continue my my quest with Gado at my side. Check it real quick. Yeah!
Yeah, it goes off like with a phone on full volume vibrate.
I am no worse than the demon-loving drow or the disease-infected
Wow.
fighter Fletcher.
You hearing this? It's what about
Wow, there we go.
Yeah,
What
So-
about it?
I'm
Mighty
the one that
Fall.
everyone.
That's
All that talk of Lothar of camaraderie and trust and that kind of stuff, and which
fine with
Gado's
it.
like, fuck you, you're okay, fuck you. Yeah, he's gone back with Melkor to put a down payment on an apartment. here in Alushinyrra.
Welcome, gentlemen, to a place I like to call under the bus. I hope you're comfortable here. Here's a pillow and a blanket. Have a good day, Fletch.
Have a good day. All right, so Gatto comes out. He's not back there with Melkor very long. Comes out, they're shaking hands and that kind of stuff. And Melkor's like, "Thank you again. If you guys need any potions, again, prices are ready to go."
Very reasonable.
Jennifer, you find herbalists of all kinds, and frankly, you go into these places and you're shocked. I mean, your knowledge of herbalism is pretty good, but it's primarily terrestrial. It's limited in large part. I mean, your education about herbs is limited in large part to the herbs available on the prime material plane. In these shops, you have access to the herbs of every plane of existence, primarily abyssal, but and terrestrial, but a lot of other stuff as well. I mean, stuff you've never heard of with powers you can't even imagine what they might be.
Woo. I'm excited. I'll send you a list of stuff I want to make. Is that okay?
Excellent. Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely.
Hey, Les, Matt he just chatted me that limited wish equals baby sky whale. Is that possible?
But I said that. I told Chuck I wasn't going to step on his moment. Who said that?
Sky calf.
What can you get with a Summon Monster 6?
I don't know. +7 on a roll. It's possible. I could use diplomacy to maybe try and talk one out of somebody. I don't know. And baby skywhale is probably hard to find. I don't know that limited wish, a wish could just materialize one, but I don't know that limited wish would accommodate that, considering the idea of the spell. You may just guys have to get some horses when you get back to Drezen. I'm thinking.
Regular old horses.
All right. The rest of you, is there anything that you guys plan to do in the city before the emissary comes for you?
Really
I'm interested in magic stuff.
Yes, I would like to do everything in my power to not have to see the emissary. Can you just like go without? Oh God!
Hi everyone.
For the record, am I the only one excited about the gifts? 'Cause I'm loving this.
Is he just an ice cream truck? Because that's what I'm thinking.
Like the Weasley kid from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Didn't he take the billions of dollars that he made for being in the Harry Potter movies and bought an ice cream truck where all the ice creams are free and he drives it around in neighborhoods?
Rupert Grint. I didn't hear that. I was thinking more of the spawn of the demonic spawn in the movie Spawn, or in the comic book Spawn.
Okay.
A serial killer of children, but he's an ice cream truck driver.
Yeah. What was he? What was the Violator?
Yes.
Yeah.
Played by John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo. Yes. Oh
stole
God,
the
that
show
was
on that one.
disgusting.
Yeah.
He did. That was I've never read the comics, but in the movie, John Leguizamo did such a good job, man. You were just like, you don't want to get anywhere near him. But this guy, much kinder than John Leguizamo's character. He's like, Nocticula, my lady, would like you guys to accompany me back to talk with her. Is your business completed?
Is there anything else we want to buy here? I mean, there's probably things I could buy here, but might buy them back at Drezen in our usual capacity. So I don't have anything I need to buy on the demonic plane per se. Is there anything that Melkor could sell me that would be of use to a paladin? Because I don't know what to ask for here. Oh, don't zoom in on his face.
Great. Now I have to take a shower after this game.
Yeah. This guy's scarier than any demon we fought here so far.
I'm gonna call you guys at like 6 a.m. You guys get your sleep last night?
Did you guys get any sleep?
Every time I close my eyes, he was there.
Well, the weird thing is that you guys are sort of spread out all over the city. I mean, for Farina has just come out of the herbalist with a bunch of parcels. You guys have just emerged. You and Bardos and Flashheart and Gatto have just emerged from Melkor's. Actually, Bardos is coming around the corner with a brace of scrolls in his hand. Lothar, you're at the Worm Empire, and I don't know, Illindar, wherever you and Fletcher are. But the emissary materializes wherever you are, meaning there are multiple emissaries kind of like gathering you guys up, and he just says the same thing. He's like, she's ready to talk with you. If you would grasp my hand, please.
No, that's what I'm
Yeah, that's where I draw the line.
Like an hour, like full loss.
Is it called Glammy? I could lay on hands if you like.
It's like touching this creature's hand is like grabbing onto a surgical glove that someone has filled with room temperature salad oil. And it's sort of like, and not only that, but like, you know how if you grab onto a glove like that, it doesn't even feel like there's any bones in there. Your hands just your fingers just sort of sink in to the creature's hand. But luckily, it's dealing with him is quite short because the moment you grab onto him, you are transported into the presence of Nocticula.
Like the summon hand sanitizer.
And once again, she looks different to each of us, right?
No, she looks the same now. She looks like this now. So you see her and she's standing in front of her throne. But again, being in her presence is almost completely debilitating. You find yourselves unable to speak. You find yourselves sort of rooted to the ground. If anything, she's more powerful now than when you guys saw her last, or she appears to be more powerful. And, you guys are just looking at her and she's sort of looking at you in like this. And she's sort of just looking at you and she's almost like looking through you as she stands by her throne. But then she's sort of like, it's almost as if she's not aware that you guys are there for a moment or two. And as you look at her face and you guys are stuck still. But then she sort of notices and she looks up and you see her shape begin to change almost immediately. And soon she looks completely different and a lot less threatening than this creature. You can see her here. She changes. She's sitting on a dark throne in a long dress. And she actually smiles and she says, "Ah, my friends, you have returned. I'm so glad to see you again. We didn't get a chance to do much talking in Hepzimira's lair, but now we have a moment to speak and discuss some things of great import. First of all, thank you again for being the conduit through which I was able to get to my old enemy Baphomet. I took a great deal of enjoyment from luring him to this plane and delivering to him a killing blow. You may not know this about me, but one of my sobriquets is the assassin of gods. And it is not very often I get to earn those words in that title. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to reinforce that part of my old and dearest work. To that end, I just want to again say thank you. But I know that mere words mean little to those from the prime material plane. And so I have a series of gifts for each of you that I would like to bestow on you as a way of saying thank you and a way of explaining in some ways what I hope that you will do for me as we go forward. Does that sound acceptable to everyone? You find yourselves getting the power of speech back and but you find without even any sort of convulsion, you find yourself like sort of nodding. The only ones that seem to have the ability to sort of shake off this glamour is Flashheart and Lothar. Your talismans, Flashheart's yours around your neck, Lothar is yours around your wrist and in your hand. They don't vibrate and tell you that your alignments are in check, but they seem to infuse you with a sort of power that seems like it counteracts this sort of mesmerization that takes place. Also, Bardos, your alien android nature seems to make you, at least to a certain extent, partially immune to her charms. You don't find her as alluring as you did the first time that you were here. So maybe your android nature is evolving in some way as a defensive mechanism. The rest of you, though, are
You guys are nuts.
paralyzed.
She's awesome.
You guys are paralyzed. She's like, some of you, and she's looking directly at Lothar, I feel may refuse me in this regard, and that is your choice. If anything, I am a demon that enjoys the exercise of personal freedom, which you guys know is a complete lie. I mean, the biggest business here in Alushinyrra, is slavery. So she goes, I certainly enjoy the exercise of personal freedom. And so any of you may refuse my gifts, but I will tell you this, you must refuse before I offer it. Otherwise, you can't, basically, she explains to you, you can't find out what the gift is and then refuse it. You have to either accept or deny and go from there.
Right up front. That's a no for me, dog.
So you hear Lothar say, Nocticula, my dog, I cannot accept your gifts.
My dog.
Is that what you say? Something like that? He can't. I'm just like, you know my feelings in this, Nocticula. I shan't accept.
Yes. Unless your gift is to stop slavery in Alushinyrra.
She smiles and says, my
no.
commercial interests preclude even me from doing that. Which basically says, of course she could stop it. She chooses not to.
Exactly.
Right. Would I know if I accept if it puts me in check?
So you sort of silently ask that to
Yep.
to the thing. Miraculously, it says that in your case, accepting her gift would not put your alignment in check.
All right, Bardos or Lothar, you might ask Rastal the same thing. Just
Well,
checking.
before anyone else says anything, Gatto steps forward, bows deeply, and says, Mistress, I dare not reply for my companions, but I most graciously accept any gift you feel willing to bestow upon me.
She looks at you fondly, and a smile curses her beautiful lips, and she says,
Brown nose.
she looks at you and says, Gatto, my beloved servant and caravan guard, please approach.
Staying very humble and bowing, I approach.
She reaches down as you bow your head. She reaches down and catches you underneath the chin and lifts your head up and then leans forward and plants a single kiss on your cheek. That feels like somebody stuck you with a cattle prod at that very spot. And then she looks deep into your eyes. But she says nothing except for what I've sent you secretly over the chat.
Just a reminder.
Okay, I stay very stoic.
Just remind everybody there's a +4 morale bonus against charm
For
effects.
those that
in
were
case they
looking
need
at the
them.
camera.
Too late.
Yeah, I know.
You guys can't see that, can you?
No,
We
the
saw his
face I
camera
made.
face.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no,
Yeah, no
what we
poker
saw-
face on
what we
poker
saw
face
is
on a
the
caravan
worst
guard.
poker face in
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
history.
not a good poker face.
All right, so she as she stares at you got the rest of you guys see this. So she comes up, she kisses him on the cheek. She holds his chin in her hand for a moment and stares into his eyes, and you can see her eyes sort of glowing at him. And Gatto just looks like, I mean, it looks like he looks almost destroyed. It looks like she could like lift him up by his chin, and almost does. I mean, it looks like his feet are almost not touching the floor a little bit. But they don't say anything. A few seconds go by and she releases him, and Gatto kind of like sort of looks away and returns back to where the rest of you were standing.
Yep. Backwards. Never turning my back on her, just graciously bowing, going back. Woo, you guys should do this.
What of the rest of you? I know the priest of Erastil's feelings on this, and I absolve him of any perceived slight. He has done much in my service, and I will not chastise you here, Lothar. But what of the rest of you? Who will come forward? Flashheart, you, servant of Iomade?
I will come forward. This is your realm. I have done you a service. If you choose to bring me a gift, Iomade does not appear to object.
You approach and she says, for you, something very rare. I hold something and have for many years that I acquired from a paladin long, long ago that I kept in one of my treasure houses for decades, perhaps centuries. No one since has tempted me even a little bit to part with it, but now I have cause to do your patron a favor, and so I give it to you. I ask only this of you. When the time comes, tell the inheritor to remember who returned this treasure to her servant.
I swear it shall be done.
This is what you receive. The shield of the Justicar. A +3 large metal shield of the Iomedan champion. The shield provides the bearer the feats of improved shield bash and bashing finish while the bearer is in melee combat. Whenever the paladin has remaining charges in his lay on hands ability, it regenerates 1 hit point per round of regenerative healing to you.
Nice.
You add 10 to your sense motive checks when you hold it. And it can once per day radiate a zone of truth for 15 rounds, or you may speak with the dead for 3 questions.
That is amazing. I will thank Nocticula for her gift. I said I will remember her her message for my deity, and then I will check.
It echoes in your brain. When the time comes, tell the inheritor to remember who returned this treasure to her servants.
As I'm holding it, I'm sensing her motive as I'm backing away. You know, I have +10.
You want to go and roll sense motive? Go for it. I don't think you even have to roll. I think it's clear that she has an ulterior motive. So, I mean, you have to understand the backstory with this particular item. She says, she flat out admits, I got this from a paladin. And you have to assume that it was a paladin of Iomade, a powerful paladin of Iomade, who was that she killed or somehow destroyed. And she has kept it ever since. This is obviously a very powerful Iomadean magic item that she has kept from the Iomadeans for potentially centuries.
Awesome.
And now she returns it to you. And through you, Iomade.
I'm as grateful as I can be on this particular one without being like all flabbergasted. But I will create her message, and then I will say, so Gato, what'd she give you? And then I'll check sense motive over there. We'll do that later. We got plenty of time for that. Next person. Scarecrow, Tin Man.
You get no reading off me whatsoever because my ring also has the property of mind shielding thanks to you guys.
Thanks to Bardos, yeah. So he's like,
I just want to get this straight. The gift you got for performing the service of taking down Hepsimira was something that was stolen from your people a century ago, and she's giving it to you under the understanding that then you're going to do her another favor.
More like message passing.
I don't see an issue with this.
I don't see favor as passing it along the message to the boss.
Message for you, sir.
Message for you, sir. Well, I mean, but this goes into and so Lothar, you might be able to.
I need to pray and see if I can come up with a remove retardation spell.
That is not a spell available to you.
But it needs to be.
You're not that high level yet.
No cleric is. No, I think it has to do a little bit. I mean, the way that you're doing it, I mean, consider what she asked of Flashheart. She basically asked us as like, remind Iomade who did this. It seems like, and there's been a couple other things that she's coming to, is that she's trying to buy some favors. Now you don't know why.
I don't think you're following the logic here.
Okay.
This was supposed to be payment for taking out Hepsimira, but it has a hook in it for future favors. So it's not really a present or a gift for taking out Hepsimira.
Hey Chuck, have you ever been to an Amway party?
And you guys are falling for all of this.
I'm like, this is an old lady with some dusty old relics in her house. She's like, here, little kid, I have something I've been holding on a long time.
Yeah,
Like
she's gonna
that
give you
good
those
lady.
chocolates that are really carob, those
Yeah.
grandma chocolates that
Those
taste horrifying.
I got a Werther's original right here. I'm like, yeah, Grandma, I'll take it.
Is
Lothar
he
makes
Get out of here.
Chuck makes a good point. I mean, you're right. I mean, this is basically evidence that at some point in her past she murdered a high-level paladin of Iomade, or in some way destroyed him, took his shit, and now she's giving it back to you with the assumption that you're
With a
gonna.
hook.
But
With a
Jack,
hook on it.
I don't have any ill will because that is her nature, and this is my nature to kill her people as much as I can in the time given to me.
Is it a given that if we accept these gifts, we're accepting the next task that she's going to ask of us? Has that been stated
Oh, no.
clearly?
Not really, no.
Well, she hasn't set a task for you.
Yeah, but has it been?
It was not a blanket statement.
It was
Right,
not
no,
insinuated that.
She set a task for the paladin.
Yeah,
Please
she
remind your
basically
deity.
said, "Hey, buddy, tell your boo that this is from me." And
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that she wasn't like this was me accepting to do whatever she's going to ask next of us, which I feel like is
I
coming.
know. I wouldn't agree to that. This is fine.
Would I do something like that to you guys?
Have
Yeah, to
fun.
get a
Have
magic
fun
item?
accepting your gifts from the
Hell yeah.
mafia, Don.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm reminded of. You guys watch Seinfeld?
No.
Do you
Well, every
remember the-
human on earth.
Well,
has seen
those of
one
you
episode of
who do
Seinfeld.
watch Seinfeld, remember the little Jerry where he wants to get the bounce check taken down in the bodega, and he says, "I took down the bounce check," and Jerry's like, "Thanks," and he goes, "Perhaps someday you will have an opportunity to do me a favor, and perhaps that day is today."
I don't recall that episode.
Flashheart returns to the group where you are standing. Does anyone else approach, or does anyone else say, "No, I don't want these gifts. It's too much. I can't remind Iomade."
I'm going to take anything that's going to help me to get the hell out of here safer. Maybe something I can sell for my struggle. Maybe something I can use to survive the next 24 hours.
I think
All
you
right,
said
so
two
Farina
different-
approaches.
I have no words of edification or graciousness. I am just polite and quiet.
Okay. She comes, you approach her, and she looks at you and she says, "Of all of the creatures here, you are the one that I understand the least. So forgive me if this gift is not initially what it seems, or not initially as grand as perhaps the paladin has been, but I think you will find it valuable in the years to come." And in her hand materializes a book. She says, "This book is called the Fasciculus Labyrinthium. Contained within it are many strange things, but of a special interest is that it describes locations within the Ivory Labyrinth in great detail. The Ivory Labyrinth, Baphomet's plain-wide maze and home. It also makes you immune to maze spells and gives the possessor +4 versus insanity and confusion. It will protect you from those things which try to steal your mind from you. I have only one other thing to give you, and that is a piece of information. Your uncle lives, and although his location is beyond the scope of my servants, he is not beyond yours. Come forward and let me place the knowledge within you." You find yourself moving forward almost unconsciously, and you see her reach out and she touches her own forehead, and then she touches her index finger to your forehead. And you find suddenly you see what looks to be like a map of the world. And in it, you can see yourselves and the multisphere and that kind of stuff. And you can see in Galarian, in a place that you can't recognize right now, a single green dot that you know instinctually is the location of your uncle. You don't know how to get there. You're not exactly sure what place it is. You're too far away from it now. But you know that as long as that green dot is alight, that your uncle is alive, and you can follow that dot, direction, distance, to find him.
I'm a little speechless.
Okay.
And then I will actually nod my head and say thank you and back up.
This book is enormous. It's like
Oh, yeah.
it's like one of those world book year to date kind of things. It's like, holy shit. It's covered in, I mean, it's got this big, thick hide bound thing. It's tooled with little gemstones and stuff in it. And on the front, it just says fasciculus labyrinthium. And, you don't open it yet, but I mean, it feels powerful in your hand.
What book isn't powerful? In some way?
Anyone else? Does anyone else wish to accept my gift?
Illindar will approach.
Illindar. I have no gift for you.
He's eyed suspiciously. Yeah, he didn't expect
I will.
the paladin or the hunter to go up there. So he's kind of shocked when both of them went up there, and he's like, okay.
All right, so you step forward, and she looks at you in a weird way, in a very kindly way. It's almost she looks at you kindly, and she goes, Illindar the Drow, your gift is not one that the others collected here would value, but it's one I know you would value above all else. And she places, as you step forward, she places her hand sort of over your heart, and she says, none of my kind can hurt you now. Then she removes her hand backwards, and she says, and tell your consort that I have placed her under my protection. No demon shall harm her lest they risk my wrath. And you have seen my wrath. She smiles, and then she holds out her palm. I know that someday soon you may venture again among your own kind. This bauble may be of use to you. And she holds out, and there's a small ring with a black stone in it that she hands to you.
It's a Horcrux. Don't do it.
It's a Horcrux. It's great if I can find some more.
Hold on. I'm sending it to you.
Okay.
I fucked this up. I hate when I do that.
What do you mean I'm possessed?
Did you see the spot that says don't say this out loud? Jesus, I put these pigs in there for you guys to read.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
He did out loud.
So do you get where she's coming from? So is when she says none of my kind can hurt you now.
No. He knows exactly. He like pauses for a second, probably gets soaked up, and then
he says
probably the best he can, and then backs away.
And tell your consort I've placed her under my protection. No demon shall harm her lest they risk my wrath, and you've seen my wrath.
She's saying this out loud, right?
Yeah. Do you take the ring off from her palm?
Yes.
Okay. I sent you a message.
Ooh.
See it?
Okay. Just let me know when I'm supposed to turn on everybody.
Okay. Anytime that works for you, it'd be perfect. So, all right. So then Illindar kind of steps back, and he's like, "Wow, that's wow."
Ildar's kind of choked up. He's kind of stepping back, and he's kind of,
And she's right. This would not be something that anyone else would appreciate, but you probably value it above everything else.
Fletcher turns to Bardos and says, so you going?
So you
You going?
After you, friend.
So Fletcher goes up with a big smile on his face. He is the opposite of polite, by the way. He kind of says to her, I hope you weren't expecting me to bow or anything. Yeah, authority is not my thing. But I have a feeling it's not yours either. And hell, you're a killer of gods. That's something like I aspire to be someday. So
goes,
you got anything that could help me like kill some evil things?
She smiles and she goes, of all of amongst your comrades, you and I think see things the most similarly. And yes, I do absolutely have something for you. I wanted to honor your prowess in battle, your ferocity. So I went back to Hepzibah's little hole and I recovered one of your victims, the Glabrazu, the one that you one-shotted that one time that really pissed off the DM. I took something from it and I enchanted it using the spirits of his servants. I want you to take it and place it over your shield arm that it may aid you as you go into even greater feats of violence. And she pulls behind her and it's about 5 feet long. It looks like a Glabrazu's arm that has been sawn off and hollowed out. It radiates sort of the purplish magic, and on the end of it, it has one big, those big clamps that Glabrazus have for the arm. She's like, here, take this. Place it on your shield arm.
I don't know what a shield arm is.
The one you
Yeah,
don't
it's-
swing.
It's
The
like-
one you don't
it's like,
swing swords
what's
with.
this shield? What's
I
this shield
swing
thing
with
do?
2 hands. But sure, I'll just put it on one of my arms. Whatever.
Your offhand, yeah, whatever is your. If you were going to hold a shield, that arm.
Okay.
All right, so you sort of slip it in. You could feel it. One, it shrinks, but two, it sort of just goes, and you could feel like inside of it, like these things kind of like poking into your arm and starting to suck blood out and belt melding with your thing until it seems to be fused onto your body. And now Fletcher has his sword in one hand, which you now find that you have the power to wield one-handed while it still remains a two-handed sword. And this thing on your other arm, it doesn't have a name, but basically it's a claw that fits over your arm. And once you fit it onto your arm, it grafts to your flesh and resizes to your size. It gives you damage reduction 20 to electricity
Oh, okay.
and immunity to poison, although not disease. You're immune to
Wow.
poison.
I got you covered for that.
I'm not done yet. It gives you a deflection bonus to your AC that is equal to half your current level. So this case it would be +6. It's not stackable. So if you have other deflection bonuses, you have to get rid of them. But it's +6 deflection bonus to AC.
That's incredible.
And when next level, when you reach level 14, it will go up to a +7 deflection bonus. And will continue to go up as your levels go up. But the most fun part, I think that you're going to enjoy the most, is you can make a claw attack with this hand, similar to the claw attacks that you've been making with your beast totem stuff. But in this case, the damage that you make with this particular claw goes from 1d8 to 2d8 plus 10. And if you succeed on a claw attack with this arm, you get a free grab attack, as the pincer will try to grab the creature if you want to. You get a free grab attack chance at +4 to your CMB.
Wow.
But the downside, crab hand.
Crab hand.
It might be a little, we might have to get you like something to throw it over when we go to the tavern.
Like a cloak?
Can he take that off in the shower?
Not.
Shower? What's a shower? He goes, cool. I can't wait to kill something with this.
I knew that you would enjoy this, she says to you.
Yeah, masturbation is going to have a whole nother difficulty level now.
Try not to scratch any.
Well, that's how I
itchy
defined
Maggots in my
offhand
club.
was.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do the stranger on this one. All right, so that's Fletcher. And then finally, Bardos, the last one.
Lothar changes his mind.
Yeah.
Last one accepting. Yeah.
Okay. Bardos, she says, come forth, android. I have a great deal of interest in. I have never seen the likes of your kind, and I hope to once again. I hope that someday you will come back and visit me here in Alushinyrra as my guest, and that we may talk about your nature, and you will maybe give me an opportunity to look into your heart and see what resides there. But in the meantime, I plan to give you the ability to look. And she pulls out a big wooden, like ebonwood box. She set a table, materializes next to her, and she sets the box on the table. Box is probably 18 inches by 18 inches. And she opens it up, and inside you see, mounted inside this box that allows it to sort of like, it's very cleverly designed. It sort of mounts it, and it sets it up like almost like a vanity mirror inside this box. You recognize it. It's a big amber lens, and you recognize it as that thing that was standing out on the pillar, and that was once in that big sort of snake head, the Imago lens. She had taken off the snake frame somehow and replaced it with the elegantly carved box of abyssal inwood. And she's like, you see much, Bardos, and this will help you see more. This can be used as a scrying device with both clairaudience and true seeing. It can project the user's image as project image spell to any location that you have seen before. As a projection, the user can observe the world around the projection as it exists, communicate with creatures that are nearby, and cast spells. The only thing is the projection cannot move once projected. The DC to avoid being scryed by the Imago lens is 25. However, if you cast a projection and it is dispelled by by dispel magic spell or something like that on the other side, you have to make a DC 25 fortitude save, or you take 4d6 con damage as your spirit is flung back across the intervening space. So be careful in its use. I give it to you now. This is another thing that she stole from Hepzimira's lair. She has somehow redone it, taken it out of the snake head that it was in on the platform, put it in, smallened it, put it in this box. You do see as you look at it, it does have some, a few little cracks in the edges and stuff like that. But from your detect magic eyes, it's still radiating a shitload of magic. You think that this is a perfectly serviceable lens.
Thank you, milady.
You are quite welcome. Do consider coming back to visit me someday when your deeds for the gods are done.
Perhaps.
She looks at Lothar and she goes, I know you would never take any gift from me. It's my hope, however, that the Green Lord of Fields rewards you appropriately for that the good you have done in both my and his service.
Good that I have done is only in his service. And I've already been rewarded.
She smiles at that and she says, I understand. So at this point, she reiterates the something that she said before, which is, if there are questions that you have that I can answer, I can give you like 10 minutes of yes or no's, if you guys are interested.
So entirely out of character based on this picture. Is she going to do the what's that stupid movie?
Basic
Basic Instinct. Is she going to do the Basic Instinct thing now?
Well, I recommend you don't look.
Only for Gato.
There you go.
I thought she was going to give it one of us.
Just no question. Is she going to give us a sky whale?
Did somebody say Basic Instinct? That's my favorite movie. So yeah, we could do the So she's basically giving you the opportunity. And as a DM, I'm like, if you guys want to do 10 minutes of yes or no's, we can do that here. Which basically she'll answer as best she can and as truthfully as she can. If you have questions,
or do you just want to if it's 10 minutes, you just want to free form it? How do you want to do it? I'll limit my flippant questions about sky whales.
I was going to say, that's the first right thing is, will she gift us a sky whale?
Can sky whales live in the prime material plane? That's the question. What do we want to know?
Actually, yeah, let's start with that question.
We got after we do that, I think we got an important question to ask. Where's Maggot Face, right? Where can we find Maggot Face? We got to deal with him at some point. The one that's got a hit out on Gordon.
He doesn't have a hit out for me.
Well, he wants to see.
You're talking about Xanther Vang.
No, he just wants him.
Yeah.
He's got a thing for him.
He's got some flowers out for you then. Sorry.
He wants him to come back so that he can investigate him. Sound familiar?
No.
Yep.
Considering that's what she just said.
But it sounded a lot nicer when she said
It's nicer when she says it.
Only because her face wasn't maggots. It's presentation. It's the same message.
So
you get used to the maggots, Lothar.
As an android, especially.
It's all about the personality. Maggots come and go. All right. And can she cook? There we go. Anyway, fine. Moving along. I don't have any other questions about
I haven't started the timer or anything yet, so
if you want to ask about Xanther Vang, is there anything left in Drezen to do? I think she gave Mike a pretty good idea of what to tell his consort. Chuck, I think you got pretty much what you need to do, right? In terms of, or at least you feel pretty convinced.
Standing here with a disdainful look on my face. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're ready to get back.
I'm good. I'm good with that. I would like to get back away from this place and away from all of these nasty, evil people.
What is the best route or safest route for us to take to maybe the underworld or
Well, no, I can plane shift us back literally to the doorstep. Well, yeah, probably slightly outside the doorstep of Citadel Drezen.
Right. I'm sorry. I meant Menzo Berenzin.
Enzo
That-
Branson?
we're
That's
gonna
a
have-
separate trip.
Yeah, we're
Right,
gonna
right.
have to find an entrance into. the
I'm just saying if
Underdark.
she's gonna answer anything, maybe we could ask that question where a good place might be to start that particular question. What else do we have to left to do on the plain apparel? Have we like pretty much wiped out everybody?
Yeah.
Farina's uncle.
Um,
We gotta help or see if Farina's uncle's still alive.
Yeah.
Gatto, you got any
Okay.
caravan business we need to ask about?
Nope,
Okay.
me and my mistress are all good.
Fletcher, you got any Clobarian?
As long as we're going someplace to fight, I'm good.
And now that you have a giant Glabberzoo penis
Fletcher the
attached to your arm,
Clobarian. Yeah.
I want to try this out.
All right. If you guys sort of have any questions, she sort of
No, I got a
says,
question.
We have questions. We're just
Oh, okay.
posting them right here. Don't. Farina, how about you? I think obviously you want to ask some. Maybe I guess you have the information you need about your uncle.
Yeah, I mean, I have what I need. I have what I need. I'm just anxious to leave. I'm gonna say as little and do as little as possible just to get out of here.
I think it's an invaluable resource we could at least try to exploit before we go. Is there anything? Let me think on Iomede's business. What would you want me to ask? We got Monago taken care
well,
of.
here's the one thing, if I remember. What was the god that came through when we killed Hepsimira?
Oh,
He
Baphomet.
claimed
Baphomet.
Baphomet.
Baphomet,
He
yeah.
claimed to have kidnapped one of Iomede's
Heralds.
primary
That's-
heralds.
thank
So
you. Thank you.
you might
Oh.
want to ask some questions about that. Was he lying? Because that's not outside the realm of possibility.
Okay.
If he wasn't lying, then
Does she know the location or?
yeah,
where he's
at?
what's
Who,
next?
who it is, or you got to phrase
I'll-
it for a yes, no question, but
I'll start. I will say, I at least, Lady Nocticula, I will start here. Baphomet laid claim that he had kidnapped a servant of Iomede and was holding him somewhere. Do you have any information that might help me aid either myself or my deity in this in the retrieval of said person?
ask her first if she knows if it's true.
Is it true?
It is true. Baphomet did abduct. So this is basically what happened. So here's how I should explain it. So
Like
when
real talk, yo.
when Baphomet materialized here, Nocticula, I made my move more as a reaction to having my realm invaded than any real sense of allegiance to you guys, whom I had granted permission to remain here. I struck at the Lord of the Minotaurs in the instant after he physically manifested. Baphomet realized his error too late and tried to flee, but my wrath followed him through the barrier between the planes and struck him for the briefest of moments dead. He immediately resurrected in the heart of his realm, one assumes with a good, healthy fear of Nocticula. He was fearful that I might come finish the job or that Dascari might seek him out and castigate him for his failures. But he does cling to an advantage, which is the abduction of Iomede's herald. His abduction ranks high among his more recent audacious accomplishments. While the being known as the Hand of the Inheritor is powerful, he was no match for a demon lord, and he relied on the protection of Iomede to shield him. Yet even a goddess can lose track of her agents, and when a desperate priest called upon Iomede's herald to aid in an attack on the demon-ruled city of Raliskrad in the Worldwound, Baphomet saw his chance. He dispatched a creature called Ileshka, the warden of his great ineluctable prison, to the battle. Her capture of the herald and retreat to the abyss broke the Crusader army and saved Raliskrad from a critical defeat. And now one of Iomede's closest agents is now Baphomet's prisoner.
This is basically an angel we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, essentially, yeah. And so, a high-level celestial, a powerful one, a herald of a god.
So what you're saying, Nocticula, there's an opening. Oh no, sorry. Do you have any information that might be useful to find this herald?
I don't have any information like that. However,
Where the path starts.
I can get you there to Baphomet's plane. And she holds out a small, looks like carved wooden maze about I don't know, maybe the size of a pancake, and it's like a little carved piece of dark wood that's carved in the shape of a very simple maze. She says, "This will take you." You got to understand, Baphomet's home plane is essentially a giant maze. He's a minotaur, right? Minotaurs and mazes go together like I don't know, eggs and grits. So so she gives this thing to you. It's a small, very delicate wooden hand carved maze. She says, "Crush that thing, and it will transport you to that plane." That's as good as I can do.
With everybody with me or just myself?
With everyone with you.
Okay, great. Thank you for this. Can't think of anything else useful here. I mean, that's pretty clear. She was pretty clear about the shield, what to tell Iomade. I guess I can ask you about this since Iomade is the inheritor. Since I'm here, any knowledge of he who came before Iomade?
Aridin?
Yeah, and where he went?
She smiles. She goes, I knew Aridin, and I knew him. I met him on several occasions, and I knew of his work. Obviously, we were not friends. But if you're worried, I had nothing to do with his death. His death was foretold eons ago, and it proceeded exactly as it was told it would.
Okay.
He was a jerk.
He got what he got.
He got what he got.
Ilindar, do you want to ask about Terendelev and see if she knows anything about the dragon?
Talking about resurrection.
Yeah. I'll ask if she knows of that dragon first. She may or may not, but
I know of the dragon of which you speak. He was of silver and the protector of a city called Canebris on the prime material plane. He was particularly an enemy of a pit fiend of note, whose name escapes me because the fucking internet is not working as good as I hope.
Yeah, it happens on our plane too. There.
Now we saw the dragon fighting with something. Was that a pit fiend that we saw?
Yeah, Garamzada. Garamzada was his name. The internet's still screwing up, but Garamzada was his name. So Garamzada, what you'll say is Garamzada and Terendelev. This is what I know. Garamzada and Terendelev were always enemies. They had fought on numerous occasions, with Terendelev always the victor. Karamzada, my understanding, is through various kinds of stratagems, managed to get the better of Terendelev. What I do know is that Terendelev did not go to Pharasma. Karamzada engaged in a variety of arcane and divine corruptions so that he could capture the spirit of Terendelev. Terendelev does not reside in whatever plane that he would have gone to through Pharasma's grace. Instead, his spirit is now captured, is a prisoner of Karamzada's.
Okay, so that means resurrection is not going to work.
Does it?
He's not in the place that a resurrection spell can bring him.
If he's not in Pharasma's keeping, then there's no spirit to return.
Well, but we're on our plane. We're plane shifting to other planes. Maybe there's a way we can stop on the way.
It's still not a resurrection.
We still have to find the spirit.
Well,
kind of like we did with Chuck's priest or whatever he was after.
Yeah, teacher.
Right.
We couldn't just bring him back. We had to actually go find him because he wasn't technically, his spirit wasn't with the dead, so we couldn't just bring him back and be done. We actually had to go looking for him. And if that's the case, if Terendelev's spirit is not with the dead, then the resurrection just won't work. Because that's what resurrection does, is it goes to basically the realm of the dead and pulls the spirit back, or I guess asks if the spirit wants to return. Mm-hmm. But if it's not there, the spell's going to fall on deaf ears and nothing's going to happen.
She will tell you that, frankly, the easiest way to prevent an enemy from being resurrected by his allies is to turn him undead.
Ooh.
Okay, that's something that I know a lot about. My character wouldn't.
So she'll tell you that. She'll say, I don't know
You're
that
saying
that's...
you, Mike the Mormon, knows about it?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Yeah, she'll say, she's like, I don't know that this is what happened. But Karamzada hated Turendelev, and it is known that Turendelev is his prisoner. It is also known that that Turendelev was slain at Canebras.
Right. Yeah, we witnessed that.
Firsthand.
So creating an undead keeps the spirit from going to Pharasma.
Right. Yep. And it kind of puts the spirit in some corrupted form.
Yeah, sort of like a halfway zone.
Yeah.
Trapped somewhere, basically. Then.
So we have to go fight. If it is undead, that's going to be one heck of a freaking fight. But we'd have to put down the undead creature before we could have a chance to do this.
We can pencil that in.
We can pencil that.
Yeah. Let's see. Go to the Drow City. Go fight Baphomet on his own home plane. Undead dragon. Boom. No problem.
Boom. Just put it on the list.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was away for a second. Did she say that is what happened?
She doesn't know for sure, but she says that it would be the easiest. I mean, to use Occam's razor, even demon lords use Occam's razor. She's basically saying, look, we do know that she's not that Turendelev is dead. We know that Turendelev is not in Pharasma's keeping or has been processed by Pharasma. Karamzada has bragged that he has Turendelev prisoner. The easiest way for all those three things to be accomplished would be as if Karamzada created some sort of high-level undead out of Turendelev.
Is Pit Fiend still in Galarian, or is it back somewhere here?
Karamzada is in Galarian. He's on the prime material plane. She can tell you that.
Oh, okay. So we can go there.
That's where he is now.
Oh,
I don't. Yeah, we don't know where he will be. He can go places.
Yeah.
So it's possible that he may not be, there on the prime material plane when you guys go hunting him, if you go hunting him.
Well, Kill Pit Fiend wasn't one of the things I wanted to pencil into our list.
Well, that would be the ultimate revenge, wouldn't it be? I mean, it's ultimately the reason that you guys are all on this trip, except for Gatto, is because of Karamzada, right? You guys were in Canebras for the festival when Karamzada came and fucked everything up and sent you down in the caves and killed Turendelev and did all kinds of stuff. And that, I mean, ultimately, it's his fault that you guys got caught up in the crusade.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
but
all
I'm
for,
happy about that.
murdering him. Just that's a little bit out of our price range, so to speak.
What? We're going to Baphomet's home plane to spank him.
Well, so what she'll tell you is that you have.
Baphomet's like very, very wounded right now.
Well, what she'll also say about Baphomet is, look, I killed him. He resurrected, but the way demon stuff works, he had to go back to his home plane, so he's hiding out. He has a year and a day for the resurrection to take. If he gets killed physically between now and then, he's gone forever. So he's really nervous. He thinks I'm coming after him. He thinks Discari is coming after him. So Discari, you'll remember, is the other demon lord, the demon lord of insects, who sort of hired Baphomet or partnered with Baphomet to sort of get his Ivory Templars to sort of join up and infiltrate the crusade and get a leg up. But they don't trust each other any more than any demon lord trusts each other. So Baphomet is probably nervous about Discari too. I mean, it could be about, and let's be honest, he got Baphomet's plane is a giant maze, which was created by Asmodeus as a prison for Baphomet. What Asmodeus didn't didn't take into account was that minotaurs are good at mazes. So it only took Baphomet about 10 years of being in this maze to figure out how to make it work. He thus escaped, took over the plane, and escaped from Asmodeus's custody. But Baphomet was originally a prisoner of Asmodeus. I always say Asmodeus. And the maze, a plane-wide maze, was his prison. But Baphomet, being a minotaur, sort of figured it out.
So
and
if we
got
kill
out.
him, there's going to be an opening on the demonic planes that Gato can move right into. Right?
Right, exactly. Well, no, not Gato, but maybe Nocticula. And then Gato would probably move into, he would become the mayor of Alushinyrra.
He'd want to be next door.
Need a caravan guard here. I'm just helping
From
out.
caravan guard from caravan guard to demon mayor, the Gato story.
New one lifetime. Demonic lifetime.
Demonic lifetime.
Meredith Baxter Burney and the Gato story. All right. I've run out.
I'm envisioning Melkor, like, in his apartment above the potioners, kicking on the TV, going, "Ooh, let's see what's on Lifetime. Ooh, Meredith Baxter Burney. I love her. He was great in Family Ties.
He was. Mrs. Keaton always had a little
Demon
crush.
Family. She was on Demon Family Ties.
Demon Family. Yep. that Alex P. Keaton demon. He was lawful evil all the way.
Oh, that demon Alex P. Keaton. I hated him. He was always so smug. All right. So basically what she says that since what she did to Baphomet, he has retreated to his home plane, where he thinks he's safe. But he's also a very cautious guy, which means he's probably on the lookout either for me or for Descari, or But if you get to him if you guys can get to him in a year and a day as part of maybe saving the Herald and wipe him out, he's gone forever. You will be responsible for the destruction of a demon prince.
I'll be a god killer.
That wouldn't be too bad on the old res.
It would certainly probably warrant a promotion in Iomede's service.
I'm going to
From
talk to
lowly paladin to not quite so lowly paladin.
I'm going to take Lothar aside and say, I know you don't want to have any gifts here, but if you have any questions that might serve the Prime Material Plane, your god, good in general, this is your moment to ask. I trust your counsel here. So I think you would maybe consider asking her a question or two.
I don't have any questions.
All right.
What is Nocticula's stance on the Worldwound and what's going on in Galarian?
She doesn't care. It was never her concern. She was never involved in any of it. She, to a general sense, she'll opine a little bit about this. In a general sense, she always thought it was a stupid idea. It was like, you're just provoking because doing. She thinks it's a stupid idea not because she has any particular love for primes, or she cares much about what other demon lords do. But she thinks it's a stupid idea because it screws up the balance, right? The abyss is the abyss. Golarion is Golarion. Essentially, the idea of the Worldwound is to bring a little bit of the abyss to Golarion to serve as a sort of base of operations for demons to sort of try and take over Golarion. She gets that that's a stupid idea. It unifies the residents of Golarion. It wastes a lot of demonic energies that could be better deployed in other areas, and it puts things at risk. And she just thinks it was a stupid idea. Ooh. This is why she would never care to get involved.
Yeah, she must have read the Raymond Feist books. These invasions never work out.
But now that it has proceeded, and now that she's met you guys who have done so much in furtherance of the crusade against the Worldwound, and considering what little you know about her motives, but you do have some knowledge of what her motives might be, she may now see this as an opportunity to capitalize on it and figure out a way that she can maybe reach her end goal, whatever that might be. Because she's definitely, she's definitely helping you guys, right? She's giving you gifts. I mean, it's not
It's not
selfless. Yeah, it's not selfless because she gets an opportunity to attack Baphomet because you know, she's basically put you in position to attack Baphomet's daughter, which she knew would provoke him. But if she hadn't come there, you guys would be destroyed. But she did come there, and
She's awesome.
It gives her an opportunity to do what she loves to do, which is assassinate other demigods. She came close with Baphomet. If she could have kept him on her plane, she would have been able to kill him. Now she's like, he's probably safe from me. I can't get at him, but you guys might be able to.
All right. I guess for asking, does she see any way to resolve this plane issue for good? We've kicked out the Baphometians mostly. There's occasional demons and rocks flying around, but I think for the most part they're diminished in power.
I mean, do you mean can they
close the world wound?
Can they close the world wound? It's possible. She goes, do I know that it will happen? No, of course not. I can't see the future. But it's certainly possible.
Is there a path on that? Is there a first step on that path?
Well, the first step was when you closed the big gate in the Nihydrian refinery, right? Remember, to close that, you had to use these pieces of this book that was discovered that had
sealed ourselves in.
Right, but it was, these were spells that sort of diminished. Essentially, what the Worldwound is a giant permanent gate. In the shape of a canyon that allows demons to pass from the abyss into the prime material plane and back. But
we close that gate.
You
in the refinery.
You close the gate in the refinery. Okay. But the Worldwound itself is a gate.
Got it.
At the center of the Worldwound is an immense demonic gate that's held open by probably unbelievable magics, and that's how these armies of demons are essentially coming out of the abyss into the Galarian without having to go through all the rigmarole of being summoned. So anybody could just walk through.
Does she have more information on how we could close this gate?
Oh, she has no idea. She's like, look, that's not really my thing. I had no interest in its construction, and I don't know how they did it. So I have no idea how to tell you how to turn it off. She's like, and it goes back to what she said earlier. She's like, the whole Worldwound thing wasn't really my deal. I have a whole city to run here.
Does she know the guy that does though? Who's jam was it?
A lot of those guys were, I mean, it's like Baphomet and Discari and Karamzada and Arilu Vorlesh and all that whole crew was sort of instrumental in doing all that. No, but it's immense amounts of power. And as you can imagine, she's on their shit list right now.
I wasn't considering this as a possibility for us, but we have a lot of other big tasks on our plate. And if blowing the world gate is blowing the Worldwound is a possibility, I'm all for it. I'd go out in a blaze of glory like that to close the sucker permanently. But I know we got other things on the list to do.
Like what's his name in Independence Day?
Yep, Jeff Goldblum and
not Jeff Goldblum. I'm thinking of in the words of my generation, up yours.
Oh.
Where he flies into the bottom of the ship
with the biplane.
Yeah, or no, it's in a jet, but it has the stuck torpedo on it. He can't lose. Tell my kids I love them. Tell Mercy I love him. Other questions?
Yeah, can sky whales live in the prime material plane?
Yes.
Could you help us get one there?
No.
Why? Why not? I want to know why not. Why not?
I told you she wasn't powerful enough.
You weren't wrong.
Actually, she smiles. She says, I have been teasing you a little bit. Perhaps we should step outside. As you walk through the thing, you can hear sounds outside.
Yeah.
And you step outside and you see tethered to a 100-foot spindle out of her back porch She's like, you didn't think I would forget, did you?
That's what I'm talking about.
She's like, let me introduce you to somebody. This is Skyway. All right, we get it. Shut up.
We get it. Shut up.
So this is Skyway. Skyway is a sky whale. You can see a couple of things. So hold on, let me get my thing here. So Skyway is a huge blue whale that floats on a tether 100 feet above the surface of the sea out back. You remember where you first met her was sort of a patio that looked out onto the sea of Abyssal Sea.
What am I missing out on? All right.
Slung underneath Skyway is a large cabin made of strange woods and metals, obviously of abyssal manufacture, dark colored and with strange protuberances. Skyway is the name of the whale. She has a fly speed of 40 feet, which means she can move 400 feet a minute or approximately 4.5 miles per hour with a total range of about 50 miles per day. She can fly nonstop, but she can't fly nonstop at max speed.
Okay.
So there is some rest.
I got my Wi-Fi went down and came back to this. Am I imagining all this?
That's pretty
Nope.
nice, isn't it?
This is Skyway the sky whale.
Is this what Lothar asked for after all?
This is what
Do you think it was Lothar?
This is limited wish brings me. Okay. All right.
she can attack people that are creatures that attack her with a tail slap, but otherwise she is a baleen whale, not a toothed whale. There in the cabin there are two black painted ballistas, one fore, one aft. The cabin itself is all one room except for a small but well apportioned WC water closet. But it's spacious and appointed well. There are comfortable chairs and couches, desks, tables, everything you would need for a long trip. There's room in the cabin for about 2 weeks worth of food and water storage for 10 people. It cannot land. It has to be tethered to some sort of spire. If it were to land, it would not necessarily be able to get back up. It can float in the prime material plane, and it sings occasionally.
What do you feed it?
It doesn't really need anything. It takes air plankton out of the air as it moves around.
You don't even need to pay Flashheart anymore. He's just happy for his sky whale.
I was gonna say, yeah, that one.
God, wow, he's just gonna be out there. I love you so much.
It's about 100 feet long.
So Lothar, are you going to plane the ship that back?
No, she can't. She's like, look, I will see to it. And she says, if there is nothing else, she opens. You can see her point at the sky about 500 feet away from Skyway, and you could see a huge gate with fire around the rim open up. She reminds you, she points as you guys begin to go and float upwards towards the cabin of the sky whale. She points to the small maze and she says, my last gift is Baphomet himself. You have a year and a day. Crush this to go to his plane. Goodbye.
Awesome.
Sweet. Okay, so that those pair of captain's hat that I bought like several months ago, I give one to Flashheart, and him and I go up to like the captain's wheel, whatever.
Oh
and we're
yeah.
totally taking this thing in.
I can't wait to keel haul somebody with this.
You guys get in this, and it's a single chamber. You can see the where the ballista are, so it's like fore and aft, but you've got maybe a 45-degree thing. There's like a little gantry that you can sort of wheel as you point the ballista around. It's for air to air. I mean, shooting downward with this thing is probably impossible. The rest of the room has like comfortable chairs and couches and little tables. You can see there's a segregated space off where it looks like it's food storage, although there's nothing in there right now. And there's also a small there's only one room in it, except for a small little water closet, which is essentially the bathroom. You're not sure how that works, but your guess is that it's open to the sky.
We don't care. Once we go, it's just done.
But you guys travel across Galarian, and it's like, what the hell was that?
The less of all the people that played Wrath of the Righteous, how many people do you think actually got a sky whale out of this?
None.
This guy.
Yeah, right
None.
here.
No, you know why? Because sky whales are something I invented for Alushinyrra. It's not even in the book.
And I'm gonna my
So if I'm gonna play through that video game, I'm gonna be, where's my freaking sky whale?
There's my sky whale.
I know.
I can just see him calling Owlcat Games going, hey, I got to like book 4 in your stupid game, and there's no sky whales here. What the hell, man? And the guy at the Owlcat's gonna be like, the fuck is this guy talking about?
We
Sky
when my wife wakes
You
up,
have
she
owl
asks
cats.
me how
Why
that
don't you
game
have
is. I'm
sky
like, we got a sky
whales?
whale.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Yay!
So there is a huge gate in the sky. You guys get in there. There's an old school kind of ship, like sailing ship steering wheel that you can see instead of to a rudder, it's connected to a bunch of straps that connect to Skyway. And basically when you turn the wheel, it sort of pulls those straps a little bit that Skyway can interpret as like turn this way, turn that way, up, down kind of thing.
How do you spell the whale's name?
Skyway, SCAWAE. Skyway.
Okay. This is the best gift tonight, so.
She doesn't speak, but she sings.
She sings reggae, right?
Reggae.
That basically sounds a lot like this here. But yeah, I mean, but you can hear it. I mean, you can hear it in the cabin, but you can tell that the cabin has been somewhat insulated by these because these are loud songs. When she starts singing, you're no doubt that you can hear that kind of stuff for potentially miles away.
I
I can't wait. I'm totally getting my cell phone camera ready, so when we show back up there, I just want to see the look on everybody's face.
Yeah, it's Citadel Drezen.
Yes.
Well, you might want to be careful because
You're gonna shoot her
mean,
down at first unless you get there first and tell people.
I mean, imagine the poor dwarves in Citadel Drezen. You guys have been gone for a month. They're like, where the hell are these guys? And all of a sudden, a giant whale starts flying through the sky towards the Citadel. They might take that badly.
Is it demonic invasion?
I don't know. I mean, you never know.
I would say that maybe Illendar wants to go ahead on Storm to let him know that we're one of the good guys.
Actually, he can kind of commune with Baruchle.
Okay. So do you do that as you guys are, I'm assuming you guys take control of the whale?
Heck yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Flashheart and Illendar are going to take turns. Illendar will let Flashheart go first, though.
And she does have a pipe for some reason, which is weird, but okay.
It's no weirder than a sky whale. We're all about it.
So yeah, while we're on our way, he's going to tell her, got some really good news for you, but go tell the people to show up. Don't shoot down anything big in the sky that shows up.
Go tell Irabet that we'll be there in a little while.
We'll be there in a half an hour.
We need to get some anti-Vrock like armament on board. We got some ballistas. I'm not sure they'll take a Vrock down.
I was going to say, we do have anti-Brock or AA stuff on board. It's called Farina.
That's a good point. There are plenty of windows and stuff like that. I mean, you get essentially a 360 view of the terrain that you're flying over. So it's, you know, it's pretty
It's a
cool.
lot less dangerous than yours.
Hey, mine's just better.
Hi, Kenna. How you doing?
Hello.
Good to see you. They just got a sky whale.
Oh, cool sky whale. Have a good night.
All right, you too. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, so you guys get in there, and the controls are pretty easy to figure out, and it isn't long before the tether disappears, and you are floating, and you can tell that Skyway is waiting for instructions.
I'm singing the jaunty sea song "Moving Right Along" by the Muppet Movie. As we're going.
Who's gonna steer?
Oh, I'm taking first watch, but then
Yeah.
anybody else.
I'll throw ahead first.
All right, Flashheart steps up to the wheel,
As the champion of Ioma Day, I claim this right.
takes a look at the controls. Do you have any sailing skill?
I got riding skill like galore, but let me double check my sailing skills. 1 second.
Does anybody have sailing skill?
I actually do have one rank in sailing.
I can't imagine why I would have sailing skill.
Would some animal empathy be helpful?
Potentially, yeah.
I've got animal handle too.
Yeah, I got
That would work.
Sailing and animal handling. I'm better at animal handling.
handle animal 6.
Yeah, mine's 10.
I got 10 too. Go for it.
All right.
All right. Ilendar steps up to the wheel, looks around for a moment, and basically puts Skyway in gear, and you guys begin floating towards this enormous gate in the sky, in the that cuts through the atmosphere. You can see reddish sky on the other side as you progress through and in through, and behind you as you pass through. It takes a few minutes, but as you pass through, it closes, and most of you, Lothar, you especially, become very much aware that you are back on the prime material plane. You suspect that you are about 25 miles southwest of Drezen. So
Bardos is looking up and saying, "Does anybody know where whales poop from?"
I have no time for trivialities like that.
Yeah, we didn't think of that.
Find out the hard way.
I suggest you stand on the front of the basket.
Hey,
That's
Les,
what I'm thinking.
I texted you a message earlier, by the way.
I did not see it, but I'll get back to you on that.
I texted it to you.
Oh, okay.
You still didn't see it, Bill. Get back to you.
Yeah. I use the sending spell.
All right. Do you need an answer to it right away?
No.
Okay.
But ponder.
All right, cool.
Ponder.
All right. So you guys materialize about here. Can you see that?
No.
The red green circle.
Oh, I'm on the wrong freaking thing here. Yeah, the red green circle right about here.
Oh, now I see it. Yeah. Wow.
And so just a little bit southwest. You remember that there were a couple of places that that you knew about. One of them was Ralisgrad. And you're not sure where that is. Ralisgrad was the place where the Herald of Iomedae was taken, but you're not sure exactly where it is. It's not, certainly not on this map. You suspect it's on the west coast of the Worldwound, but you are about 20 to 25 miles southwest of Drezen. Is there anything that you guys do? I know, Ilendar, you're notifying Arushale that you're on the way.
Yeah, we're on the way, and not to shoot down anything big in the air.
We can teleport there. I've got teleport to.
No, we're going in on this.
Not the whale.
You know,
That's
so you
not
can message
today.
them.
Going in. We're going in with the Ride of the Valkyries coming out.
Heck yeah, we are.
I love the smell of flying wheels in the morning.
Hold on. I think I have Ride of the Valkyries.
Light of the
Like
sky.
careless whispers when it's just me and the whale there. There we go. Yahoo!
All right, so you sent a message to Arushale?
Yeah. I just tell her we're on our way. And inform, what's her name? What's the half orc? The half orc was still in charge.
Irabeth Tirablade, sorry.
Irabeth is her first name, all right?
Irabeth, yeah.
Yeah. Basically say, and notify Irabeth not to shoot down anything big that comes in.
You get a notice pretty quickly back from her. She's like, "You're back on the prime material plane. That's awesome. You have survived Alushinyrra. I want to hear everything." What the hell are you talking about? Don't shoot down anything. What are you, flying in on a rock or something?
It's like just hang outside. We'll be there in a couple hours.
All right. So as you guys approach Drezen,
Let everybody know.
so the first thing you guys have to worry about is is there any places in Drezen that you can tie Skyway to? I mean, like any towers or anything like that?
I'm sure there
Definitely
are.
As I recall, Les, besides being a city around it, there's towers in Drezen, and also there was a tower that we took as a redoubt. when
Actually,
we were
yeah, we
fighting
did.
outside
There was-
Drezen.
Yeah, there was
That was our stand, like where those demons overran us for a second, but we were able to beat them back.
Do you want to aim there, and that's going to probably be where you park Skyway?
Yeah, I think that'd be
Yes.
best.
Okay.
New Skyway tower.
Okay, so you guys head that way. So you guys sort of come over the horizon, and as you get closer, and you can see that there is actually a mounted spyglass in there, so that you can like look forward,
Uh-huh.
and you use that to sort of look at Drezen, and it's like everybody is outside because they're shitting themselves as to what's going on. Arushale apparently has told everybody because half of the dwarves, all of Geyer's guys, most of them, Irabet, the dwarven king, they're all the dwarven guy, they're all up on like the towers and they're looking. You can see them like looking around. They've got their own like shittier versions of spyglasses and stuff. And eventually one kind of like goes, whoop, and they're like, you see, and you're looking at him. You can see the guy comes down and he goes back and he's like, and he starts, scrambling. He's like pointing and that kind of stuff. Everyone is outside as you guys sort of like, kind of like come flying over towards them. And then, of course, as you guys near the city, Skyway starts singing whale songs again. So, of course, it's reverberating everywhere and everybody's like shitting themselves. And as you guys fly over Drezen town, you could see, down below the guards are like waving their kind of things. Do you guys do anything as this kind of happens? Because it looks like the word is out on you guys. Like they're not firing at you.
Right.
So we got bags of coins we just want to open up and just drown the people
Start-
with our largesse.
Ingots. You just throw ingots out there. It's like, what's that coming down? Oh, 3 crushed skulls later. Don't throw the ingots.
I was gonna say, this is kind of
We got
like
the
our
resurrection
version of the turkey drop in WKRP.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's my witness.
God is my witness.
I thought dwarves could catch ingots.
Les Nessman, well, you'll always be a deity right next to him.
You won a silver sow twice for excellence in agricultural reporting.
Farm reports, yep.
As New York went away from offices into open space, I started becoming Les Nessman, where I would invisible office.
When I was a reporter, the guys who worked with me gave me a silver sow award for agricultural excellence in agriculture that I had on my desk for a while. They're like, because they used to call me Les Nessman. So that was a fun time for everybody. So, but yeah, you guys come, rolling into Drezen. You can see the town before you. The town, as you guys look out, I'm assuming you're kind of like waving and that kind of, doing all kind of stuff, and you can see that while you've been gone. And let me just look at the calendar here. I just want to take a quick peek at the calendar. So you guys left Drezen. Not long ago. So according to this calendar, about 5 weeks ago. So not super.
But time's different though.
Yeah, so you feel like you've spent about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks in Alushinyrra, but here about 5 weeks have passed. And in that 5 weeks, you've seen some really miraculous changes. The first thing you notice when you get here, though, is the air is very cold. It is late, essentially it's late Cthulhu, which is analogous to nearing the end of the year. It's late December. The air above Drezen is cold. You guys are in northern climes anyway. You can see that not far from Drezen to the north is literally the ice pack. So it gets cold here. And you guys are up in the air a couple of 100 feet. So, the air is pretty crisp. The gardens, there's no gardens or anything down there, but you can see patches where animals have been stabled. You see the defenses have been significantly built up. You see that there's been work on various places that were destroyed on the citadel itself. You see a lot of work on in Drezen town. Outside of the citadel proper, you can see that there has been a lot of work done on building houses, tilling fields, setting up fences, more military bulwarks. They have been busy while you've been gone. And it looks like there's a ton more people here too. I mean, you see people, it looks like there's at least 2,000 or 3,000 people wandering around in the town in the citadel that are now looking up at you guys. Whereas when you left, it was probably close. It may have been half that.
Yeah.
At best. So it's obvious that Horgus Guerm has continued to bring a lot of people to Drezen, as well as one assumes resources, all the things that needs to happen. But Drezen is suddenly starting to look like a functional town, along with a military bastion. There's still a lot of soldiers. There seems to be a lot more dwarves, but there's also humans, crusaders. You could see various people wandering around, but it looks bigger, frankly.
Awesome.
You guys, Arushale, you see Arushale as you're looking through the thing. You see Arushale who's on sort of this upper cupola with the dwarven king, Irabet, and a couple of other guys. She just lifts off. She can fly. So you see her bat wings sort of like coming towards you, and she literally comes over and just flies into you. Reach over and open the door of the basket, and she flies in and embraces you, and then she pushes you backwards. And then she looks at you funny, and she puts her hands on your face, and she's like, you feel differently. You feel stronger is the only way the way she could do it.
Yeah.
And
there's some things that we need to talk about.
You're no longer a puny noodle of a man.
She gingerly reaches in for a kiss, takes it, and then pulls back, and then she realizes that then she sort of looks at you and smiles, and she's like, things have changed significantly. The rest of you eventually come to a point. It's kind of difficult. You got some ropes aboard. You're going to have to try and there's like a little like tower spike at that tower that you guys were in that you kind of have to lasso and kind of figure it out because it's all kind of screwed up. You're still pretty high off the ground. There's no rope ladders or anything out of this thing, because
for now we take Storm down, but we come up with like a rope ladder
Storm's
situation.
like a whatchamacallit boat, the small boat the dinghy or whatever. That's what Storm is.
Imagine she likes that being called as a dinghy.
Wow. Probably first dragon.
I think every time she's called a dinghy, Mike should get slapped.
We can develop one of those cargo nets that goes down the side there.
She looks over. She's like, "What did you call me?"
I think he called you a dinghy.
The other D word.
The other D word.
But eventually she shuttles you guys around, and people are going crazy. I mean, you were immediately swarmed by dwarves and men and people from the town that come over. Arushale's with you, and you guys are brought. I mean, you guys come into Drezen essentially to the cheers of all the Crusaders. That there, the whale is just sort of like sitting there tethered to the thing, and every once in a while she'll emit a little bit of whale song, which reverberates through the town, but it doesn't destroy anything. And you guys are back at Drezen.
Yay.
Speaking of dwarf stuff, the items that we borrowed from the dwarves that I'm pretty sure now nobody is using anymore.
Yeah, I don't use any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah, those need to be given back to the Dwarven King so that they can be reinterred with the Dwarven Champion.
I think not sure if I'm still wearing the armor, but somebody was wearing my armor instead, which was a +3 spiked armor. I think Fletcher took that, or somebody took that.
Well, I mean, if you're still using it for the Crusade,
But
that's
the
one
hammer I
thing.
don't have. I think that was Fletcher's, right?
But I think if the things that whatever those 3 items were that we borrowed, the idea was we were borrowing them to use them in the Crusade. And if I know we had a big shopping spree, so everybody's got a bunch of new stuff. If there's anything from the dead dwarf that we're not using anymore, we need to return it to the Dwarf King.
That's a good call.
Thanks, dude.
Gatto has the hammer.
But
Hey,
Well, I gave it to you. It
I
wasn't a
know.
secret.
Don't rat me out.
He has it.
Don't rat me out.
Yeah. All he has is a pawn shop ticket now.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why he went backstage at Melkor's Potion, or he was pawning that hammer.
so if you would please return the Dwarven items to the Dwarven King so that they can be reinterred. Because I know that their power level is not close to what everybody has now. So they're no
Well, the hammer
longer-
has the ability to spike people in place. That's the only cool thing. The extra
Yeah.
cool thing. Is that-
You
Well, it
drop
does
the
holy
hammer.
damage too. I give back the hammer because I was ratted out.
What was the other thing? There was that.
I didn't have anything else.
Armor and something else.
Yeah, there was the hammer, the armor, and like an amulet or something. And I don't
Like
have
a
it.
shield, wasn't it, or helmet, or
Or maybe it was a helmet. I don't have the information in front of me.
Les, do you remember what they were?
Don't. I don't have a clue. I could probably go back and determine it.
I have
I got
a
the modules right here.
natural
You want me to
armor.
look?
Huh?
I got the modules right here. You want me to just look?
Yeah, would you? That'd be great. Well, at this point, we've gone so far. I mean, so between the taking of Citadel Drezen and now, we've gone so far off book that that frankly, you guys have a sky whale. So I mean, we're a bit
Mike.
through the looking glass here, you know.
Mike, weren't you the one who was keeping all of the magic stuff?
I was until it goes to someone else.
Right.
Once it goes to someone else, I erase it and I don't keep track of it.
Oh, well, that sucks. Okay.
Well, let me. I can take a look.
And as long as it's in party booty, I've got it. But once someone takes
Yeah,
ownership,
no, because all of the dwarven,
I did take an amulet of natural armor.
the 3 items from the dwarven dead guy, they went to 3 different people because they were better than anything. we
Wait, it
had.
was from the dwarven, the guy that you killed,
It
right?
was the- no, yeah, it was.
No,
it
it
was-
was-
yeah,
It was from the guy. It,
It was,
yeah,
a,
it was,
it was a
Oh,
combination.
the guy that they killed.
No, there was
The
a
tomb of the
tomb,
one
the
dwarf
tomb.
king.
No, it was a
Yeah.
tomb and
It was the dwarf.
Oh, right.
A dwarven paladin.
yeah, the dwarf champion
it was kind of across the river from. like,
that was
across
in the
bridge
tomb
across
just
the river
outside
from-
of Dresden.
When we
Yeah.
looted the tomb for its protection.
Yeah,
South
How
of
did you work that
south
out?
of the keep
They
was a
offered it.
cemetery. In the middle of the cemetery was a mausoleum.
we
Right.
killed some undead,
Roll the tape.
and
Back
then
that episode.
Hold on, I'm looking through the book. I know what you're talking about. I'm finding it.
and I actually went and asked the dwarven king for permission for us to use those items in the crusade.
Right.
But the idea was
How'd
that
you
it was
remember though?
That we would return
that it
them,
was
yeah.
borrowed, and that once we
Right.
weren't using those anymore, we needed to return them so that they could be reinterred with.
How do you
those.
remember? Chuck's playing Lothar's character to a T.
I remember everything.
He's the party dad.
Man, that's
Gosh,
awesome.
dad.
I'm close. I'm
Kudos.
close to having it. It was called the Haunted Vault.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Hold
no,
on,
I
I'm almost
didn't
there.
miss all of you who succumbed to the seduction and got crap from the demon. I didn't overlook that either.
Ah.
Just,
No,
You're in the book.
just letting you know.
You rode in a sky whale. You're culpable.
Wrong.
Speaking of the book, Les,
Mhm.
Farina's going to be giving her book to Bardos for his use and inspection. The nugget about her uncle is really much more valuable to her.
Okay.
And she knows Bardos will take good care of it and make good use of it.
Okay, I'm close here. I'm close. All right, I'm not as close as I thought because it doesn't seem to be listed here.
One was armor, one was a hammer. And I don't remember what the third item was. I want
I've
to say
got an
it's plus
amulet of
armor,
natural armor that I
which I
don't
believe
remember.
which I believe I'm wearing. One was the hammer, and I don't remember what the third item was.
I have a
I don't-
belt of dexterity too that I'm wearing.
Yeah,
I'll find it.
I don't think it was the amulet. I'm thinking you
it
might.
probably
be
would have been
right.
a specific thing, not a.
Or I
Yeah,
want to say it was a ring,
armor, helmet, and
or it might have been a helmet. I forgot.
Yeah, it might
about
have
it.
been a helmet.
I don't remember, but I know at this
Spirit
point
magic helmet.
Hopefully we didn't sell it.
with my spear and magic helmet,
Spirit
No.
magic helmet.
fortunately, we haven't sold anything because we have Bardos who can
Yeah.
disenchant things and use them for materials. So since we haven't sat down and done that in a very long time, I'm
Speaking of
assuming
which,
any of those items that were from that time period, we still have.
I have a +2 shield here that can probably go into the kitty.
All right, I can't find it here, but I will find it and I will get back to you. And you are deciding you're going to return all those things. So I will get you a list. Is that correct?
Yeah, those things need to be returned to the Dwarf King.
Okay.
It was 3 items. They were
Hammer,
nominal,
armor,
nominal
and-
to slightly good at best. It's not a huge thing, really,
Gotcha.
except for that they were from their champion.
Got it. Okay. I will find those out. And they will take those and they will definitely appreciate you guys returning those because frankly, a lot of these guys, after about 2 or 3 weeks, they're not coming back. So to see you guys return astride a sky whale, in victory with, loads of treasure and that kind of stuff that you bring into the city is, frankly beyond their expectations. Although Alushinyrra always protested and said, no, they're still alive. They're still there. Everything's good. Well, maybe not good, but chaotic neutral.
They haven't died yet.
Yeah, they haven't died yet. So you guys get into the thing. Obviously, Irabet, the Dwarven King, they all want to know, what happened, and there'll be festivals and feasts in your honor, and a lengthy debriefing kind of stuff. But they're certainly not going to trouble you unduly. They know that you guys have spent a long time, and after the first couple of discussions, they know that you guys have spent a long time in a abyssal city surrounded by demons, and that must be traumatic. So they're going to leave you guys alone a fair amount to take advantage of some of the new things that have been happening in Drezen. Irabet will confirm that a lot of fresh people have come here. She will also confirm that Queen Galfrey is away and fighting in the south. And I'll just show you some of the, hold on a sec. I gotta do this thing here. One second. We'll do this. All right, we'll make this what it is. Sorry, I wasn't 100% prepared. All right, so they do have a much better map of the region than initially was available, and they're happy to share that with you now, as now am I. So hold on just a second. One last thing. This guy came with you on the boat?
No,
Yes, I will.
certainly did not.
He's still with you. It's like, I missed you guys so much.
He said it had to be his whole family. No, not him.
No, that's Yardley. No,
That
this
was
guy
Yardley.
totally did not come with us.
No.
All right, so here is a much more comprehensive look at the Worldwound. And so what Irabet will say is like, look, Drezen right now is a place of strength. We've built it up, and we control probably everything, as far south as the Grey Road in Yathascar. No demons come up this way, and we haven't seen a serious sortie of demons against Drezen for several weeks. What they can also tell you, though, is that Queen Galfrey and most of the Crusaders are down in the south. Raliskrad is where, and everybody knows this, is where the Herald of Iomedae was taken. Raliskrad is still held by the demons. It was a close battle in which Iomedae sent the Herald to try and turn the tide, but there was a problem. Something went wrong, and that resulted in the Herald being taken. It was a huge blow to the Crusaders there, especially the Iomedans, and the battle was lost. But it's all along the Sarkora River where these battles are taking place. So from Storasta north along the Sarkora, there's a lot of battles. A lot of it was focused on Raliskrad, but in general, the demons still hold the river. Now the West Solon River is safe almost all the way down to probably this area here and maybe a little farther. So there's a fair amount of river traffic that's going back and forth here. Canebris is being brought back. Canebris is obviously in Mendev, and there's a lot of effort being paid. The supply lines between Drezen and Canebris are excellent and well guarded, and nobody's made any serious injunctions. Right. So the eastern edge, the northeastern edge of the Worldwound, is firmly in Crusader hands. However, the southern river and the southern edge of the the southwestern edge is still a demon swamp, and they've won some significant battles there.
Does that include the wood?
Yeah, like
winged
Shudderwood.
Well, I'm sorry, the Shudderwood? No, the Shudderwood is safe. Everything south and west of the river is generally speaking in Crusader hands. There are raids across the river, but generally speaking, Gudrum and Chalkor's Tower, all of that belongs to us.
What about the winged wood?
The winged wood is still in. It's yeah. We don't own it. It's demonic.
Okay.
So, question for you, Les. Now that we've taken Drezen and we brought back at least as part of the world one under our control,
Mhm.
is the blight that impacts the world one seem to any lessened?
It is starting to lessen. Now it's hard to tell because it's midwinter almost.
Yeah, we're
So
on
this
center, so
yeah. So let me just basically do a little line art here. So everything between like in this area. Hold on a second. Can you guys see this? That line?
yellow.
Yes. Yep.
That is all Crusader territory, and it's dominated by Drezen and to a lesser extent Kenebris. This area is also
Yeah.
general.
Yeah,
This area is generally speaking also. Whoops. Also, Crusader. Hold on. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep.
So south of the river. So much of this area here is demon. Is still held by demons. So a lot of this area here is demon.
all the wounded lands areas.
Yeah, this whole area right here. Can you see it in the red circle that I'm making?
No.
No.
I don't see a red
see
circle.
red. I see 2 yellow circles.
Now I
There we
do.
go.
There I see red.
That's
There we
that's a
go.
lot smaller red circle than I thought.
Oh,
was
there
gonna
it is. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me make that a little bit easier to see. Is that a little better?
be. Yeah.
Yep.
That's good.
Okay. All right.
So that's their
Um,
stronghold area now.
That's a lot of their stronghold, and a lot of it is centered on Ralisgrad, Storasta, Underin, Valahuv. All those are demon cities right now. These areas are sort of contested, and I'm going to do those in blue. Oops, nope, that's wrong. Hold up.
We win.
Yay, suddenly they became contested.
Yes.
Woohoo.
We're that good.
We're
Just
just
a
that
mere-
good.
It's just the presence of the whale.
Yes.
Turn the tide of battle.
A lot of this area is being contested, but it's mostly raids and stuff like that. Can you see that? Okay,
Yeah.
the blue.
Yep.
The winged wood.
Obviously, this area here is demon. And hold on, let me make sure I do this right.
Yep. Okay.
All right, centered around is the primary demon city in the Worldwound. In fact, these canyons are where the Worldwound exists, right? So the gate is down in those canyons. Now, some people have speculated that the gate is contained within is. Other people say it's at threshold. The other people say it's somewhere in between, and both of these cities sort of service those areas, but
It's
service the
only one
incoming
hit,
demons.
right?
I'm sorry, it's just a one gate, one
Okay.
giant gate. At least that's what's saying. Nobody alive in Drezen has ever seen such a thing. It's only what you hear, right? Nobody here has seen it and survived. So you don't know. But yeah, that's right. So a lot of these, so this area is contested, the winged wood, but it's mostly demon. The red areas are demon. The yellow areas are pretty solidly Crusader. A lot of and frankly, many people sort of chalk up the fact that the area surrounding Drezen and Kenebris is Crusader, in large part because of your guys' doing. There's a sort of, and you guys kind of get this in dribs and drabs because nobody comes right out and says it, but there's a lot of sort of loose talk about how you guys are this weird sort of like,
We're the A team.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't want to say like 18 because we call it 18, but like chosen by the gods. And people sort of, there's this like weird mythology that's starting to grow up around you guys because a lot of people don't know you personally. And so it's like, it was, you hear these rumors like, one person was chosen of every god to, every Crusader god to lead the attack against them. And they were chosen by the gods and they bear all the weapons of the gods, that kind of stuff. It's all kind of like a lot of horseshit. But, Gatto's obviously feeding into this rumor. He's mostly working it for free drinks in the Crusader bars. But, but there's this weird kind of like, there's a bit of a mystery that surrounds you guys.
So my initial question about the woods was to see if there was one that was somewhat well controlled that either I or maybe get Bardos
Mhm.
to help to be able to take Farina there so that she can actually spend some time in her sort of natural environment.
The Shutterwood is safe. The Shutterwood is Crusader owned.
Yeah, that's a little far for priestly magic.
Okay.
I don't have teleport.
The Winged Wood.
Ardos does.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Bardos and Elendar do.
I'll get Bardos or Ilindar or both involved in this. It's not a secret. Farina spent a lot of time in a terrible place that made her uncomfortable. I think it would be nice to get her a chance to spend some time in the woods.
Yeah, right now, either one of us could teleport her there. We couldn't get her exactly where we wanted, but because I don't know if either one of us have been to those woods, but we could get her somewhere in there. And then
Is
once
your
we
uncle,
see it-
where's your uncle at now that you've,
Well, that's what I was
gotten
going
to
to ask
this
Wes when I had a chance.
You,
I mean, I was down in the Green Gold area originally where I was from, but I mean, any woods would be wonderful. And I'm so touched that you guys would think to do that. I'm not a weeper, but boy, you swear you might see a glint of a tear in her eye.
That's much better than the glint of the arrowhead aimed at my face.
that'd be
Yes,
before or
it is.
after she backhands you,
Yeah,
right?
appreciate it.
So Farina, you sort of, the way you look for your uncle is you sort of step into your mind into a landscape, sort of, that's sort of almost like a 3D map. And you sort of scan for that green light that you recognize as your uncle. You're starting to see other lights as well. You're not sure what they are, but you're seeing them in different places: yellow, red, purple. But you could focus on that green light that you know is your uncle. He seems to be to the south, fairly far to the south, but you also get the impression that more to the southwest. And you also get the impression that he is below ground, but the light is still green and is still bright, which means he is still alive. Beyond that, there's no detail. Details become clearer when you get closer. So you can, if you look sort of down, you can see sort of like the ghostly outlines of the city of Drezen, sort of below you as you look around. The farther away you look, the less detail you can see. The lights are visible, but the detail of the environment is not. But you can tell that he is fairly far to the south. You're not sure about distance, but also it looks like that he is underground.
But beyond this map, like far south.
Beyond this map, yeah.
Yeah, because I've been trying to look for a map of Galarian, but they're not very accessible online.
Well, there's a ton of them online.
I found a few.
They're on there. But you can't get a really good look at them.
Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find it.
I couldn't find a good Castle Drezen, so I use them as one of my background. For the
There's a Galarian interactive map that you can actually zoom in on and move about.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't have.
It's not fancy like this, but it's like a GPS map.
Yeah, it doesn't have a ton of super detail, but here, hang on. I'm gonna put this in.
You want me to stop? You want to share it?
No.
Okay.
I've just put it in chat. You can look at it from an aside. Again, it's not a detailed or doesn't show necessarily woods and stuff, but you can zoom in, zoom out, and it'll give you a
That's what I
better
need.
idea.
'Cause I can zoom in on the ones I'm finding.
Right.
Okay, so I share that information with anyone who's interested. That it appears that my uncle's south of here, but a rest in the woods would do Otto and I really good.
Yeah, like I said, my whole thing was not necessarily even the next step in our adventure. Just get her to some trees and dirt and flowers and whatever, and let her recharge.
So there is a pretty significant. So the Shutterwood. Hold on a second. I gotta.
And let Otto be a cat. Maybe he'll find some wild growing cat.
That goes into Ustalav. So the Shutterwood is sort of like the northeastern piece of a much larger forest that goes, well, not much larger, but a larger forest that goes into Ustalav.
Are you holding a map off camera?
Yeah, no, I have a map of Galarian on the wall of my office.
You sir are adorable.
I have it's over here.
Yeah, spelled DORK.
Yeah,
Workable.
a little nerdy. Probably the next largest and closest and safest forest would probably be hold on, Estrovane forest in eastern Mendev, which is sort of directly to the east of Drezen, and it's sort of southeast, but it's a little farther away, but it's in Mendev, and it's definitely safe.
There are green spots that show the forest in this map that that Chuck showed. So it's showing.
Yep.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Showing.
Okay.
So yeah,
So yeah, if you look up in, I'm trying to deal with this here. Oh, it's so laggy. Never mind.
yeah, I say we let her choose which one she wants to go to and just ask her how long before she wants us to teleport back and pick her up. I'd say at least a week.
Are we in Drezen right now?
You're in Drezen.
Yeah.
TCOB in Drezen.
And after spending, several weeks in the abyss, we probably all need a week vacation.
I'm good.
I'm good, he says.
Sounds
Yeah,
like,
no,
sounds like, can you
ready.
take me back there?
I just got back from the spa.
Ready to
That
get
would be
back
easy.
in Nocticula service. I mean, not Nocticula, Iomade. That's who. Yeah, that's right.
That's the ticket.
Hail Iomade.
So yeah, so Bardos, if you're willing to try and assay a teleport, you've never been to the Estrovian forest, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not. No, I'm from Numeria.
Well, so I think there's some forests in Numeria that you might know. Let me take a
Like I
look
said,
down
he
there.
can teleport to where he hasn't been just by being described where it's at. There's going to be
Well,
uh,
one of the scrolls that I wanted to buy was Greater Teleport. So if I do that, then
I
with a
wouldn't
good
even do that.
I can go
The
anywhere.
range of error is going to be so small that she'll still be in the forest somewhere. And it's not like you've got a specific part in the forest you're trying to get her to.
Yeah, you could miss by a fair amount and still end up in forest.
Right. So you do that, but then while you're there, spend a few minutes looking. So then you can.
Yeah,
come back
it's
to
as
the
far
present.
as long as we're doing this, I would just say we should go farther south and try to pinpoint her uncle a little bit. Because
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
with
Is
teleport,
this an all party thing, or are we kind of splitting up the group to do different things?
Well,
I'm with
So-
whatever the party wants to do, but I got things I want to do in Drezen too.
Probably split up and just.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this whole thing was just to get Farina into the forest for a week or so, just to let her
Yeah.
settle her.
And selfishly, Lothar wants to go too.
Okay.
Bartos is good. He's got his portable lab, so really, all he wants to do is create stuff. So, but he can do that anywhere. As long
I
as
was
he's
going
got
to
his
invite
lab.
you to come read your book and check it out and hang out with
Yeah.
me too. But I welcome Lothar's company. I welcome anybody's company.
Yeah, if we're taking like a day trip or a small trip with the gang, I'm all in for that. But if we need to split up to accomplish different goals, I'm good for that too.
Well, it's some people may not find
Like,
a
If
week
there's
in
going to
the
be
woods.
encounters and you need a tank, I will be there. If not, I will be hanging out in the woods is not flash
How
hard.
cr- how
Gado's
cool
going to
of a
stay in
DM
Dresden and
idea.
really milk this chosen thing for drinks. So
Hey, Les.
Yeah.
So there's still, I'm sure, a good part of this town has not been redeveloped yet, right?
Fair amount. Yeah. There's only so much you can do in 8 weeks, right?
I don't know what's been done while we've been gone, but on behalf of Lothar and myself, I'm gonna look around for a couple of good spots for temples to consecrate here for our
Okay.
respective deities, and get the holy rollers in here to
Well, if anything, you wouldn't necessarily have to do that, because the central hall of the Citadel itself has the Sword of Valor hidden up in it. Remember? So that is, you're essentially looking at the central hall of the Citadel is dedicated to Iomade.
I'm talking about for the peoples,
For the homies.
we're not letting the random peasants into the Sword of Valor area.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, only high level paladins with gifts from
Yeah.
demon lords can go in there.
That's right. Backstage pass, baby.
Okay, yeah. There are areas. They need the what they'll tell you is that over the last probably 5 or 6 weeks while you guys have been gone, what Horgus's you know, caravans have been bringing in more and more of is construction materials, you know, carved stone, you know, logs, things that can be built. And so what they're trying to do is they're demolishing things that are too far gone to be reclaimed, and building or repairing things that can be reclaimed. And you can see the benefit of it. I mean, dwarves are nothing but good stone workers, and there's a lot of Crusaders here who you know, now look at Drezen as more or less their home.
Sure.
And so now they're still here, and there are still a lot of like crusading condottieri companies and stuff that are pouring in, and they go out into the southeast and they join the fights. But you're getting the impression that Drezen is really starting to be seen as this place where you can go sort of behind the lines. It's safe. You can recoup. It's, you know,
Put down my paladin hair.
Yeah, let down your paladin hair a little bit, and but it's Crusader controlled territory, and a stronghold of such.
All right. So like I said, I'm going to look for areas to consecrate, send for their appropriate types of people to be working, you know, working for the common folk, monks, priests, preachers, the usual. And then I'm going to see if we can get a debrief with what is the Guardian, you know, the Sword of Valor. I can't remember, Sword of Valor and the Guardian, two different things or one thing?
Well, you sort of get, and all of you sort of go, you know, once you get back, you're like, I've been stuck with these people in a hotel room in Alushinyrra for the last 3 weeks. I need some space. So Gatto starts hitting, you know, the pubs, and Flashheart begins looking for temples. Lothar and Farina, you know, sort of head out to the woods, and everybody sort of like splits up and goes and does their own thing for a while. Obviously, Ilindar, nobody sees him for several days. He's gone, busy. But it's not. But you guys sort of
Does he look a little level drained when we get him back?
Well, no, he doesn't. Thanks to Nocticula.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Brown cow. Yeah, no, he. So what's weird is like even on the first day, he sort of just like disappears, and the only thing that you hear, sort of, as he goes off.
So are Farina and I and our animal companions in the woods somewhere?
Yeah.
I'm going to send Siggy off to be an owl.
Okay.
And I'm going to go plant trees.
Gotcha. I'm curious, Fletcher, what would Fletcher do during this week? I'm assuming you guys will have essentially an entire week off to sort of decompress and that kind of thing.
If killing things is off the menu, he'd probably pick to go with Lothar and Farina. He's got to embrace his elvish side a little bit here.
Well, and wandering around Drezen with a big Glabrezout claw in your hand is probably you're going to draw a few weird eyes.
Except for dinner. That's the only killing we'll be doing.
What happened to Don? Did he drop off?
He's had it with you guys. He told me in chat.
Speaking of which, Otto already knows not to hunt Siggy, right?
Yes, Otto knows not to hunt Siggy.
That's going to make it. That's going to be an
dinner.
awkward dinner
I
conversation.
can't say go be an owl when there's a giant panther in the area. The bird's going to be like, F you, that thing's going to eat me.
No, Otto would never eat Siggy. Otto has gone through hell and back with Siggy. He's not going to eat him. They're buds. Baru too. I mean, Siggy for a while looked at Baru like, okay, if things get bad,
If we ever go
get him now.
If we ever go Donner Party, that rat.
Baru's gone. Baru's out.
Donner dinner.
It'll be just Siggy sitting there, just like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I didn't
I don't know
know
what
the
happened.
tail hanging
Did anybody
on
see
the-
Baru? I don't know. But that also leads me to the question, Bartos, you're going to just sort of like repair to the lab then, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what Bartos would do. Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to research the 2 items that he's gotten from Farina and Nocticula. He's not feeling real good about the scrying thing, but he's going to look at it and try to just figure out what it is.
Well, it's basically what it was described. I mean, you remember it from Hepzimira's lair. I mean, you remember looking at this thing and how big it was. Now it seems smaller now, and it's obviously taken out of some of the things. She Nocticula has extracted it from whatever control mechanisms it had, but now it's in this wooden box that you kind of like lift up, and it's very, very elegantly carved and that kind of stuff, and it looks like it's made specifically for this. But yeah, now it's about 18 inches in diameter, in a big wooden box that looks a lot like a pizza box. But yeah, I mean,
its aura was very evil before. Is it still
you
that
do
way?
not get an aura evil off of it now. You're exactly right. It did radiate a shitload of evil before, but not anymore. You do see there are cracks in the edges of it, where either it
Was
was
extracted from something.
yeah, but maybe it was damaged in the extraction from the metal sort of snake head that was mounted in, or maybe mounting it in the box caused some trouble, or maybe extracting the evil and making it safe did something to it. But you do not get the same vibe off of this item that you did when it was in Hepzimera's lair. And maybe when it was there, it was so connected to Hepzimera that it collected a little bit of her evil, and after she was gone, it sort of bled away over time. But you don't think so. You think that somebody took this thing and extracted the problematic elements, resized it, and put it here so that you could use it.
Yeah, so basically it's a regift of something we freed up anyway.
Yes,
It's a label baby junior.
it is totally a regift.
Table baby.
It's a regift.
By the way, I set aside a little bail money for Don when he inevitably gets in trouble.
There he is. All right, so
Les Illindar's doing three things. One, we already talked about. The other is
You.
he's going to be helping Bordeaux with any magic item creation or stuff he's working on. So he's going to spend a lot of time doing that. And the other is he's kind of back to his old self, where he's going to spend lots of time just kind of mingling with everyone.
Okay.
With them. And
Right.
you said they're rebuilding a bunch of stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Storm, with her new size, she can move like construction materials like they're nothing. So
true. Yeah, she can drag what did you tell me? She can drag 250,000 pounds of stuff?
Yeah, drag, yeah.
So what they'll probably consider, she can fly and she can carry, what was it, like 15,000 pounds?
You can fly with a medium load, I think. So she can actually fly with 30,000 pounds.
30,000 pounds. So basically what you get when you go to the construction crews and say, hey, maybe we can help. They're like, holy shit. Yes. And so you end up finding yourselves going to like quarries and logging camps to the north, like up here past the lake lost to the sun, and up over, this and to the northwest or northeast, where there's raw materials. There's not a ton of available raw materials near to Drezen, so it has to be brought in. But frankly, doing loads of 30,000 pounds of raw logs that can be milled into boards, or stone that can be quarried into stone blocks, that's an immense kind of
value. Going to help out and speed up the repair process.
Oh yeah, you get a dwarf is like, you come with me, and then the next thing you know, you're doing routes. So yeah, absolutely helpful.
Illindar, maybe what I was hoping we could do is my other action here is I want to build up infrastructure for our Sky Whale tower, like claim this tower and build a appropriate type of anchorage and maybe stairs to get to said Sky Whale easily.
That's a good idea.
Maybe that's our quarters outside Castle Drezen or whatever, if we don't need any at the castle.
Okay, that's our first job. We're going to help with all this.
Okay.
But in trade, you guys are going to help us build this tower up into our permanent.
They're like, yeah, absolutely, we'll handle that for you. And in a lot of ways, that place becomes your, like, you guys' tower. So Bardos, if you wanted to ask some people to help you sort of set up a lab in that tower, you would be able to. And if there was, if you guys wanted to stay there or make bed chambers or kitchens or whatnot, it becomes pretty quickly that these guys are happy to help you with this stuff. And pretty soon, even though it's outside of the Citadel, that tower becomes like those guys' lair. That's where they stay, that kind of thing. And you guys can do with that what you will. And I can probably get you a tower map if you want.
That'd be great. The third thing I'm going to do is, if I'm not needed by the party, I will put on my other Paladin commander hat and see if I can understand the military situation on the ground and where we might be helpful once we leave here, and do some straight targets, keeping in mind our larger missions, if there's something we can accomplish or will need to accomplish in those.
Well, so yeah, I mean, Geyer will come and talk to you guys right away. So he's now senior commander in charge of all the Crusader forces at Drezen.
My good friend Chuckles.
Yeah, and he will certainly come and see you guys and say hey and sort of welcome you back. Basically, what he's saying has been happening. He's like, look, we haven't had a ton of incursions to Drezen. So what we've done is we've turned it on its head, and we've essentially been making incursions against the demons as far to the southwest as we can. So we've been sending out now. We're very, what Geyer will tell you is that we're very conscious of the fact that Drezen, the position Drezen holds, and we also get that to lose Drezen at this point would be completely debilitating. So what they've essentially been doing is glorified raids in these directions. So they've been going and they've been heading towards Puluro's Fall. They've been sorry, hold on a second. I fucked that up. They've been driving to those areas. They've also been, God damn you shitbag. They've also been driving.
It's quite the salty mouth.
When you swear, it's so infrequent and it's so Tourette's-like.
Who, me?
Yeah, like you just get possessed
Very
by it.
Tourette's-like.
Random cuss word.
Pit snacks, fuckaroo, that kind of thing. They also say that they've been, driving towards Yathaskar a little bit and trying to take or at least cut off the area of the Gray Road, which is this big channel that leads into here. These big cavern or like ravines and channels that live through here. You guys remember sort of the tips of the Gray Road led towards the Temple of the Ivory Labyrinth, which you guys got to remember how it was like down in those ravines. That's this area here. That hold on, I just want to make sure I don't screw this up. Yeah, I screwed it up. Okay, that's this sort of area here. This is about where that temple was, and it's sort of at the top end of the Gray Road. So they've been funneling troops and stuff down that Gray Road to try and push back that, or at least deny the demons for using those ravines as a way to move troops and other materials into the area that they control, so that they can make attacks on Drezen from there. We've had a lot of luck with that. He'll tell you we've made some pretty good inroads, but without an army, we're not going to push back hard on that. We need, at some point, we're going to petition Queen Galfrey for enough resources and enough troops that we can make significant attacks on Yathaskar and Puluro's Fall. But in the meantime, it's skirmish level shit. But we're winning, pushing it back inch by inch. They certainly are not using the Gray Road to get into to make sorties toward Drezen, and we've had some success, countering some of the efforts of the two towns.
I'll see if they have any intel on the loss of the Herald that maybe we don't already possess in terms of position of troops, his location, any sightings, stuff like that.
All we get out of Raliskrad is rumors and stuff like that. We know that the Herald of Iomedae had been taken by Baphomet himself, who snuck in there at that point and grabbed him and kidnapped him. That was a tide turner for that battle, but it's also seen as a bit of an act of desperation. The Iomedaeans are pretty upset. Certainly, this is a significant morale loss for them, but at the same time, there's a war to be won. And while the Herald is a good guy to have on your side, a lot of people are like, look, we have to continue the fight. There's nothing we could do. But it was a morale. It did hurt their morale.
Got it. Well, yeah, it's nature of war, and so we can help out and find. Obviously, that's on our list to do is find said Herald. So if he's on this plane still, then makes our job easier.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do whatever I can do to just create, when the gang gets back here, just in terms of laying in supplies for the said whale, and then trying to plan out where we're gonna go. I don't think.
Well, remember the whale eats sky plankton, so Skyway is a baleen whale.
Yeah, as long
Okay.
as you take her out and fly her every now and then, she's good.
Okay,
Mhm.
so what I meant by that, just supplies for us, whatever thing we might need in said sky whale. But yes,
Oh,
happy to
okay.
do so. It occurs, yeah, all we need is one more large winged creature and we can have like a wing.
Yeah, an attack wing. Although, so Storm flies, but Storm flies fast. What's Storm's flight speed?
We got Ziggy too.
Siggy's
Yeah,
actually
I forgot
faster.
Siggy.
Storm's fly
Ziggy's
speed-
faster.
Yeah, as she gets bigger, her fly speed's 60.
60. Okay, so she's pretty fast. The
Not
whale
fast.
is reasonably fast, but I mean it's also enormous. So it sort of looks very ponderous as it kind of moves through the sky. Whereas, obviously Storm is like, swooping around and that kind of thing, very much agile. Skyway is not what you would consider agile.
We're not gonna do any
100 foot
lightning, so-
flying baleen whale is not going to stop on a dime.
No.
Um,
And Siggy's not huge, but Siggy is now large.
Really?
What are the rules of when your familiar or your animal gets larger? How does that work?
For mine, it's just level. So
But
Siggy's
if it gets
now,
large.
yeah, Siggy's now level 9.
So wait a second. So Siggy is considered a large animal at this point. That means she's bigger than you.
Yeah, that means
Why is she only level 9 if you're level 13? That's just how it works.
Because I'm not a druid or like you get yours naturally. I get my animal companion based on having the animal domain from a priest, so mine's lower.
well, even mine, like Storm is only a level 10 creature, even though Illindar is level 13.
Right, but you get to use the evolutions on.
I get to use evolution to augment the crap out of her.
Right. So I don't get evolutions. I don't get any of that. She just goes up naturally, unless I choose a feat to
Well,
give her
Gordon thought
evolution.
that,
Yeah. When I
Gordon
tried to
thought that
find that, I
Otto-
couldn't figure out where it was. Because I thought Otto would be a large creature too now, but I couldn't find where that happened as an animal companion.
To be honest, I don't know where it is in the books because I use Hero Lab. It just tells me. So I would have to go and look for that.
I looked
would
around
think-
some for it today. I couldn't find anything, but I
Was-
did
was
notice that if
Hunter-
you enlarge.
I'll find
on-
it.
If you
Yeah, was
enlarge
Hunter on
on,
the only sheet? Because if it was, I would think just on the animal companion page, as you leveled up, it would just show you what that animal companion you got. Because that's how I do the Eidolon on the only sheet. It
it
tells
doesn't
you
really,
how many
it doesn't really
evolutions.
say it anywhere, so maybe it just never happens. There's nowhere. It says she's still large, but I mean, he was always a big cat, so I'm assuming.
Well, typical, like a jaguar typically starts out medium.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
a
would
big
start
cat
medium.
would be a medium creature.
A medium is the size of a person.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
why I'm thinking that if
Yeah.
Siggy's large, he's the size of a horse.
Yeah,
yeah, basically. And if Otto is now classified as large,
That's how the TOS has got him now.
right.
He's
so-
a dire panther.
Right.
Yeah.
So originally he would have
Basically.
been a medium creature
yeah.
as a big cat. So even like a 600-pound tiger would be considered a medium creature.
Well, tigers are gray
Well,
area, but it's
yeah.
like a
Tigers are-
jaguar, definitely. a
Tigers and
medium
lions
creature.
are large. Yeah.
There you
Jaguars
go.
are medium.
So
Jaguar definitely a
how
medium
many
creature, but
coins
now
is Tiger?
so if he's shown as large, that means he went up in size.
he's probably about the size of, a small horse.
Now,
But a
wouldn't
jaguar.
that change some of his modifiers and
Now,
whatnot?
typically they give you rules and they tell you, okay, if you go up, then you also get like, 2 in strength or 2 in con, whatever.
Right.
Usually as part of that, they tell you what bonuses you get.
See, I never
as
saw
you-
that, and I can't find it. Gordon feels like he saw it at some point, but
And see, I just use the automatic thing. So, I mean, like I said, at this point, my bird has a dex of 20 and an AC of 25.
If the storms.
Well-
Holy shit.
And
yeah,
that's,
Jaguar went to 33
Yeah,
on AC.
I want to be,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna become a bird. That's some pretty.
and that's
sweet-
just a product of the natural sort of leveling of the animal. Cause I haven't used evolutions. I haven't spent any feats for
An
animal
owl that
evolution.
size you could ride.
If I trained it in
Yeah,
an owl,
yeah, as long
yes.
as it's,
I think we should have that as because we're going to be flying around a lot right now. So
Holy shit snacks.
we have a lot of, if we have to be over this Worldwound, we have a lot of ground to cover and I don't want to walk.
I haven't trained Siggy in mount.
You can
Yeah.
put a
Go
point
to the
into
abyss to
intelligence,
come
Chuck,
back
and
with a
then
sky whale to
you don't have
walk.
to train it.
Right, exactly. I could put a point into intelligence and then I could whatever, but
like the melee attack for a dire tiger is plus 18 on the claws. And with some buffs, I'm at plus 15.
mhm.
Damn.
I'm gonna forswear my paladin abilities and just become a dire tiger.
Are you just a hunter? Is that what your class is?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look that up. We're about ready done, but I'll look that up and see if I can find anything.
Yeah, if you guys find anything, I'd be interested because I think the TOS does most of this. I mean, we so seldom find an error on it anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Gordon? But occasionally we do.
That's when I'm all done with my paladin abilities. I'm going to dress down and then join Gata for quiet drinks because the regular citizens here can't understand what we went through. So I was going to go hang out with them.
That's true. You guys are like the hobbits at the end of Lord of the Rings, where we're at the place in Bree, and they're just sort of looking at each other. The green dragon. They're just sort of looking at each other, and everybody's like partying around them, and they're like, they had no idea what faced them.
Actually, I see it.
You're not going to ruin my free drinks, though, are you?
Yeah.
No, I'm dressed down. I'm dressing Aragorn style.
I mean, you don't mind if I get free drinks, do you?
No, I don't mind at all.
All right, just making sure.
I will try to keep an eye on you that you're not robbing, holy men while you're hanging around here. But if they're in this tavern, they probably deserve to be robbed a little bit.
See, I would have seen us less as the hobbits and more as the Avengers eating the shawarma.
Yeah,
at
the
the end of
shawarma, exactly.
I was kind of comatose, just kind of sitting there.
Just
eating.
exhausted, just eating the shawarma. What a great scene.
So yeah, I don't use Siggy for that. He's aerial recon, but yeah, he's hard to hit, has a lot of hit points, just as a natural product of going up in level.
And it's apparently as big as a Volkswagen now.
I was going to say, yeah, now so far, probably not as stealthy. I've noticed Storm, as Storm gets larger, her stealth, she was like in the low to mid teens when we started, and now her stealth is a 7.
Because he's gotten too
because
big.
she's got a -8 because of her size.
Yeah,
Oh, that makes sense too, because I noticed that Otto's stealth went down
yeah,
a little bit.
because he got bigger.
Yeah.
Huh. I just don't know how or wow, that's wild.
Whereas Siggy's stealth is still plus 16.
Wow.
That's great. Well, owls are, I mean, they fly so quietly.
Precisely. That's
Well,
the thing.
Yep.
So even getting bigger, it didn't cost him his stealth. Anyway,
He's a plus 16, is that what
Yep.
you said?
yeah,
Yeah. Otto's
Yeah.
still plus 18, but
he's pretty quiet. And
Storm not as
if
much.
you're a rat, you have no chance.
yeah, they'll
except
have
for-
fun hunting together in the woods.
Except for Baru. Baru's off limits.
Well,
And I'll
now
go
they're
to
bloods
Tampa.
now. So you guys are all back in Drezen. You guys come back from a refreshing week to 10 days in the woods. Those of you who've been hanging out, you're building the tower. That's all going well. You're, getting free drinks. You're talking to people. I'll get back to you on that, Matt. And you guys are all kind of sitting around. And it's a day like any other day, at which point somebody comes from the Citadel to the tower to find you guys. And you, Matt,
We got to name this tower something cool. So
Flash, yeah, think about a name. Flashheart, you recognize this guy as one of the priests, the lesser sort of adepts of Iomade, who has come down, and he has a crazy look in his eye. And he's like, excuse me, Master Flashheart.
Roach.
Your presence is requested in the Citadel, in the central corridor with the Sword of Valor.
Okay.
And he sort of looks at you, and he's got these crazy eyes, and he's like, something has come.
Uh-oh.
All right, I will strap on radiance and pop on over. Anybody is
And the person looks around and says, "You have all been requested, and I dare say
do you mention it to Gatto? He might join you. So
you dare not refuse.
all right.
Not Saint Limerin. You can't refuse."
All right.
And
Hey,
Flashheart,
guys,
you
it's time to punch
recognize.
in. It's time to punch in again.
You guys recognize that name. So the adept says you can't refuse Saint Limerin. She's asking for you, and you're like, what? The rest of you don't recognize that name, but Flashheart, you recognize that name. Saint Limerin is a one of the closest associates of Iomade that exist. She's not a herald, but was
Straight up
Limerin was a paladin who accompanied Iomade on many of her battles. And according to this guy, she's here and wants to speak to you guys.
I will make all due haste, and somebody go to the drunk tank and pop the spring Gatto so we can get there together.
Somebody wake up Hicks. And when we return in 2 weeks, we will talk to St. Limerin and find out what in the heck she has come to Drezen to find out.
Well, since we have that break before this, I'm going to check on Jesper.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, and Syvar's here as well.
Well, yeah,
so,
yeah.
So Syvar and Jesper actually have done a great deal of work while you've been gone. They, Jesper has been spending a great deal of time sort of in contemplation and trying to sort out where he stands in the sort of hierarchy of the priesthood, and he's reviewing some of the things that he did and some of the things that he thought and how that works within the thing. And Syvar's been helping him with that, but Syvar will find you, immediately when you come, and he's basically like, look, we are building a temple, and he'll take you out sort of outside of the town where there's like a little copse of trees. There's not a lot there, and these trees are kind of scrabbly looking, but they actually, look like they've been tended. And Syvar will tell you, like, look, we've been working here, and they've created like it's a small little 1-room Aristilian temple, and it's made out of wood, and they put together a certain, but you can see that this is what they wanted. All these things that they've done. And Syvar, you've never seen Syvar happier, as he is sort of, not only does he have somebody to mentor, but they're building this place to worship Erastil, and you can just tell that this place is favored by the gods.
Yeah, cool.
So they've been doing that, and they, obviously when you get back, they want to Syvar a lot, Jesper less so. They want to spend time okay, they want to spend Syvar wants to spend time for you, so going out drinking, that kind of thing, and he may even, if you're willing, he may even accompany you out to the woods when you go, if you're amenable to that.
Yeah, that's all good.
All right, but yeah, everybody seems to be good, and they are building a new temple to Erastil here.
Okay.
You can see where the at the peak of the roof, and it's a small building. It's maybe 15 by 15 on the inside, but at the peak of the roof, there's a huge sort of like carved set of antlers on the top that you recognize as maybe, it stirs something in your mind. It reminds you of something that happened to you while you were in Alushinyrra.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Cool. And that's where we will start. I will answer everybody's texts. And, at one point, Gatto reaches down and hands Flashheart his pouch and says, hey, you dropped this.
Feels a little light.
Yeah.
Nope, everything's in it still.
Everything's still in there. But
Hey, Chuck, did you write that thing earlier?
No, that was Les.
Oh, that was
don't sell yourself short, Chuck. Chuck came back to me and said, look, I don't think Lothar would. So I wrote it, and I said, Chuck, what do you think? And he said, look, Lothar doesn't think this way. Let's change some things. So that's why that's why we were late this evening, is because Chuck and I were making a few changes to make it right.
Worth the wait.
awesome job. That was really
The
well
thing
done.
you asked me to read last, I did read, so I'm ready if you need me to spew it out later.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, Mike, will you hang on the line a second?
What's
Yeah.
next week? Is it B team or C team?
Next week's B team.
B team next week. Yep.
B
I
team
was
next
forgetting.
week.
All right, folks.
All right.
2 weeks.
Yeah, guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Gordon's-
And we will hit the ground running in 2 weeks with a team.
Does anybody else not have to work tomorrow?
Yeah,
I do
I'm
not have to
tomorrow.
work,
I don't have to work.
but I'm on call.
2 more hours. Let's go, Les.
You guys want to hang out and have a couple of drinks? 2 more hours? You want to go? We can go, man. I prepped. You guys want to go see
No.
what St. Limerin
No.
wants?
No, I'm thinking
Seems
most
like-
people want to go to bed, but
Yeah. It's,
All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay.
So here we go.
We can talk about people.